Chapter 1595 Star Rankings. Wang Ting, Wang Ting, Wang Ting. The cheers were deafening. Be it in the virtual universe or outside the battle planet, many people who watched the fight were clamoring the hero's name at the moment. The voices were piling up, covering each other. Everyone was too excited and shocked. Not only did the Earthling defeat the Crown Prince in normal conditions, even his devilized form was not his match. The audience saw firsthand how horrifying the possessed noble was. The black mist covering the sky, the huge and bloated body, those devilish red eyes and the black abyssal mouth. Everything about him was terrifying. Even so, Wang Ting defeated someone like that. The defeat was absolute. The hero's last move contained the power of space, forming a tornado that swept everything away. That kind of power was beyond amazing. He defeated the devilized Crown Prince in a shocking manner, shattering the fear in everyone's heart. What is a talent? Someone who is victorious, no matter the opponent or the situation. That's what you call a talent. Wang Ting was invincible in many people's heart. There were quite a few surprises in the League of Talents, but it kept propelling the young hero's reputation into new heights. His reputation reached the peak when he defeated the devilized Crown Prince. Countless people engraved Wang Ting's name at that very moment. The hero's face was pale as he hovered in the sky. The space tornado had almost depleted his energy. Besides, he suffered many injuries during his battle against the possessed noble. It had been a long time since he suffered such severe injuries. He didn't expect the devilized noble would force him to such a point. It was clear how strong he was. He glanced at the dying Crown Prince with mixed feelings. The fellow was definitely a powerful opponent. It was a pity that his body was invaded by a dark apparition. He didn't know what he would have to deal with next. Wang Ting activated his real eye and glanced at the fallen noble. The darkness inside him had already disappeared. All that remained was a dark consciousness rooted deep in his psyche, which gradually turned invisible, as if it didn't exist. Such a dark being was special. The hero was able to see it at the moment since it had just revealed itself and had yet to hide once more. He hadn't even seen it before, during the competition, even with his real eye. Not even the military discovered anything. He didn't know how the dark consciousness managed to do it. Just then, General Fu Xinglan and the others approached the hero. "General." Wang Ting saluted. General Fu Xinglan nodded and glanced at the young victor. His eyes were full of appreciation. "You did well. Thank you for the compliment, General," the hero said humbly. Grand Duke Chongshan lifted the unconscious prince and said, "Let's take him back." General Fu Xinglan and the others nodded and disappeared, as if they were never there. The audience was silent and emotional. To think the Crown Prince himself would do such a thing, no one knew what would happen to him. Would he be seen as the talented warrior again? And thus, the League of Talents came to an end. Everyone's ranking appeared on the light sphere above the arena. Wang Ting clinched the top spot. The hero had earned it. No one was surprised, and no one questioned it. He got first place. The second was claimed by the Crown Prince, but there was an addition next to the name to be determined. The following places had already been set: Landon, the second prince, Timothy, Ling Yangshu, Ji Haochen, Leng Chenxue, Su Jianchen and Yu Chiqiao. The top 10 rankings were revealed. Everyone started talking about the results. Their enthusiasm was still high. And just when everyone thought the League of Talents had finally ended, beams of light were shot by the warships from the 7 stellar academies, which gathered and produced a scroll. The latter opened up high above like a cosmic river. Countless stars dotted the parchment. There were even mountains, streams, and beasts. It was mystical. Everyone was stunned, not knowing what it was. "What's that?" "I don't know. It came out from the Academy's warships. Does it have something to do with the competition? Did anyone see any of the old monsters in the previous competition? Now's the chance to take a look. Wait, I'm breaking out of my coffin. Wait for me to climb out of it. What the hell? The League of Talents is too exciting. I'll bury myself and then come out and watch the next one." Silence. Everyone was talking about the scroll, but only a scant few had an idea of its nature. In the military's battle fortress, General Fu Xinglan, Grand Duke Chongshan and the others were discussing the Crown Prince's situation. They were stunned by the appearance of such an item. It's that thing. There was a hint of shock in their eyes, as they seemed to recognize the scroll. At the same time, many powerful figures all around the Great Qian Empire were equally startled. They too recognized it. However, only eternal stage warriors or ancient geezers who had lived long enough knew about this. It was no wonder that the people logged onto the live chat were completely clueless. Those old relics wouldn't use the platform to talk about it. The second prince, Ji Haochen, and the others were also looking up, taken aback by the item's sudden appearance. What is that? Everyone was in an uproar. While everyone was confused, a golden ray of light was cast down from the scroll, aiming for Wang Teng. The latter was a little flustered, but he chose not to evade, letting the golden light fall on him. Everyone was stunned, not knowing what was going on. Boom. Just then, the scroll produced a resounding boom, and a name was gradually etched on its surface, as if someone were writing on it. Wang Ting. It was Wang Ting's name. His figure was also manifested as the name appeared. Scenes were flashing past like a movie. It was a record of his deeds in the League of Talents. His performance in the 5 Forbidden Zones during the elimination battle, his exciting fights in the battle arena, and the scene when he finally defeated the devilized Crown Prince. Many other names appeared on the scroll as this took place. Their corresponding figures also appeared. All of those images had one thing in common: they were all young, with different temperaments. Some were calm, others arrogant. There were some who were kind, or even cold. Their features were distinct, memorable upon first glance. The hero's name appeared right next to theirs. Everyone was staring at the giant scroll, in shock and disbelief. They finally knew what the artifact was for. A majestic voice was heard, resounding throughout the sky. Wang Teng left his name on the star rankings for future generations to look up to. The names and figures on the scroll disappeared and turned into starlight. The parchment closed up and disappeared along with the voice. The star rankings. Everyone was dumbfounded. The words were echoing in their minds. Although many didn't know what the name stood for, they understood the other half of the message. Future generations will look up to him. The audience realized what it meant. Someone suddenly shouted, "Did everyone see it?" There was a familiar name on the star rankings. Meng Tianyu. Meng Tianyu was there. Wasn't that the peerless talent that walked out of the Great Qian Empire more than 50,000 years ago? It must be. That figure was just how Meng Tianyu looked when she was young. I got to see her once. There's no mistaking it. I actually got to see what Meng Tianyu looked like when she was young. Spectacular, so beautiful. The recognition of a renowned figure of yours had an immediate reaction, both of shock and awe. It was a peerless talent from 50,000 years before. She left her name on the star rankings and was still referenced in discussions in recent times, causing waves of nostalgia. I didn't think I would get to see her young appearance again before I leave this world. I can rest in peace now, said a powerful warrior in the starry sky, paired with a sigh. The voice filled with sorrow and emotion, echoing in the distant space before it faded away. Other powerhouses in places light years away joined in with sighs of their own, eyes gleaming as they looked at the star rankings. The appearance of the star rankings shocked many people. Some of the ancient masters awakened from deep slumber and saw what was happening on the battle planet. For future generations to look up to. This is it. The star rankings are inscribed with the names of great talents. I don't recognize a lot of them aside from Meng Tianyu. Are they geniuses from other planetary sectors? It must be so, including some of the ancient talents. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Wang Ting's name and figure were inscribed. Is he going to be held in the same regard as them? I've witnessed the rise of a peerless talent. The discussions continued non-stop for a long time. On the Parker's family's spacecraft, the furious flaming Universe Lord and his people were overcome with disbelief. The star rankings. General Fu Xinglan, Grand Duke Chongshan and the others had mixed feelings. They felt dizzy after hearing the news. The second prince, Ji Haochen, and the rest of the geniuses snapped out of their stupor. They looked at Wang Ting with troubled expressions, a trace of envy escaping from their eyes. They didn't think it was possible to leave their names on the star rankings after a certain performance standard. No one had told them about it, and not one knew anything about the criteria. Still, it was evident that the young hero had the qualifications to be there. Ranking first in 5 forbidden zones during the elimination battle, defeating 16 talented martial warriors in a single battle, and even defeating a devilized crown prince. These feats weren't achievable for the ordinary. All of this made the hero eligible for the star rankings. The second prince and the others could only sigh, knowing they weren't on par. There was only envy and admiration left in their hearts. Chapter 1596. Another possibility. The appearance of the star rankings came as a surprise to everyone. It was briefly displayed, leaving shortly after. The audience was left in shock, remaining dazed for a long time. This was a legendary listing. The names recorded were just as legendary. Its sudden manifestation was cause for excitement. However, their attention was soon trained back onto Wang Ting. After all, an expert included in the list was standing right in front of them. He was a real, living legend. Everyone started sizing up the young hero like a rare breed. No one expected him to leave his name on the star rankings. It was an impressive feat. Wang Ting shook his head. Honestly, he too was surprised. However, he didn't think too much of it, given that his name was merely recorded and disappeared soon after. Rather than focusing on vague and intangible things, it was better to look at whatever was in front of him, like the attribute bubbles. He glanced around him and found many bubbles floating in the air. His eyes were instantly lit up. He swept his spiritual power to collect them. Constellation Force, Metal, *12800 Constellation Force, Water, *9850 Constellation Force, Fire, *8700 Divine Level Metal Talent *3200 Divine Level Sword Talent *4000 Celestial Realm Spirit *7800 Heaven Realm Enlightenment *11200 The 12 Tyrant Swords, First Sword, *6500 The 12 Tyrant Swords, Second Sword, *5000 The 12 Tyrant Swords, Third Sword, *2800 Tyrant's Finger *6000 Metal Domain *2200 Metal Origin *800 Constellation Force, Dark, *18500 Divine Level Dark Talent *5200 Dark Devil Fist *4200 Dark Ultima *3200 Dark Devour Domain *1000 Darkness Origin *1000 Devil Transformation *6500 Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. My God, there's too many of them. The hero was stunned after collecting everything. As expected of the Crown Prince, even the attributes dropped exceeded those of the other participants. Wang Ting ignored the force attributes and went straight to the talent stats. He received 3 different divine level talents from the fallen prince. Divine level metal talent, 7300 50,000 divine level dark talent, 17500 50,000 divine level sword talent, 8700 50,000 in the blink of an eye. His accumulated talents rose exponentially. They were now many times stronger than before. The appearance of divine level dark talent surprised him. The Crown Prince was a regular human. Even if he was contaminated by dark force, it was odd for him to drop dark talent. Furthermore, the attribute was of divine level. The only option was that the other consciousness lodged within his mind was a dark apparition. The hero frowned as he considered this. However, he didn't dwell upon it since the noble had already been taken away by the Grand Duke. Aside from talent attributes, the Crown Prince had also dropped many spirit and enlightenment bubbles. His talent was mighty. It was understandable his drops would be bountiful. Enlightenment, 1335002000000, Heaven Realm. Wang Ting was shocked upon seeing his enlightenment value. Mind you, last time he checked he only had over 60,000 points. Now, it was at 133,500. The rise was startling. This was also reasonable. He had indeed picked up many enlightenment bubbles over the past few days of competition. Every candidate had dropped some of it. It wasn't strange to accumulate that much. Next were the 12 Tyrant Swords. First Sword, second sword, third sword. All three swords were present. His conjecture was right on the money. Once the Crown Prince executed them, he was able to learn them. The hero pondered in silence over the issue. The Crown Prince was pitiful enough. There was no need to kick him while he was down. Wang Ting still had some conscience. He truly looked forward to getting all 12 tyrant swords. Come on, it was a divine-level battle technique. Many images appeared in his mind right after absorbing the 3 attributes. They turned into part of his memory and enlightenment, merging with him. The 12 tyrant swords, first sword 6550,000, specialized, the 12 tyrant swords, second sword 5000 10,000, foundation, the 12 tyrant swords, third sword 2800 10,000, foundation. Aside from the first sword, the other 2 were both at the foundation stage. Wang Ting sighed. The Crown Prince was currently in trouble. Where can I find more attributes? It seemed like he would have to practice the last 2 moves on his own. Never mind, I'll practice when I have time. Imagenius, let's not squander my talent, Wang Ting pondered. However, every sword move was tougher than the previous one. He would need much more time to grasp them. Most importantly, he barely had the first 3 sword. The skill name obviously implied the existence of 12 swords, while he had barely gotten 3 of them. The remaining 9 were nowhere to be found. Such a sad and unfortunate situation. Next was the Tyrant's Finger. He received 6,000 attribute points. He had already developed the skill up to the well-versed stage. The recent addition took the latter to the specialized stage. Tyrant's Finger, Universe Stage 1108,000, specialized. Wang Ting looked at his finger and thought, not bad. I can use this move to poke a warrior to death if they are below the Cosmos 5th level. Aside from the regular battle techniques, he also received a dark battle technique, called Dark Devil Fist. Dark Devil Fist, 1205,000, well-versed, 4,200 points raised the attribute to rise all the way to the well-versed, which allowed him to execute attacks with a considerable amount of power. Furthermore, it was a Titan-level devil technique. The hero recalled his fight with the devilized Crown Prince. The fist skill the latter executed was the Dark Devil Fist. Based on the outcome, the prince was being affected by a peculiar dark apparition. The fellow wouldn't have yielded a Titan-level skill otherwise. Why do you have to call it Dark Devil Fist? Weren't you trying to give me a massage with it? Wang Ting complained inwardly. In Chinese, Dark Devil is pronounced just like massage. Then, there was the domain. The Crown Prince possessed the metal domain, and dropped 2,200 points of it. The small amount wasn't because the noble's grasp on said power was low. It was because Wang Ting's domain was also at the 4th rank. There was an overlap, so the amount was decent. Metal domain, 34,54,000, 4th rank. Actually, the hero was more intent on merging the domain to make other special metal-based domains, such as the Golden Luminescent Sword domain, or the Golden Lightning Sword domain. Both were more powerful in comparison. Of course, time was needed for the conversion. It wasn't an instant process. There was also another dark domain, the Dark Devour domain. Wang Ting closed his eyes and sensed the latter. He was startled, his expression looking grim. The Dark Devour domain was indeed powerful. As the name implied, it had an engulfing ability. Wang Ting blinked and wondered, isn't this similar to the ability of the devouring nihility beast? There were indeed some similarities. However, it wasn't a pure devouring ability. It was a combination of dark force and devouring force. Nihility was a proper universe behemoth. It had nothing to do with dark star beasts. Its devouring trait was pure and refined. No wonder I sensed danger from that big mouth. Wang Ting was enlightened. Back when the prince was devilized, the frightening suction force produced by the giant mouth had almost engulfed the hero. He would have allowed himself to be swallowed to destroy the enemy from within under normal circumstances. However, the dark mouth gave him a heart-shuddering alert, so he chose to be more prudent. Thinking back, he felt fortunate to have taken that decision. He had the nihility beast, so he was well acquainted with its powers, more so than anyone. He also had world-devouring power because of this, but who knew what accidents he could cause with it? There was no need to take unnecessary risks. Dark Devouring Domain, 0-2000, second rank. The hero looked at his stats, noticing that the Dark Devouring Domain had just reached the second rank. He felt satisfied, as the attributes would be of great help to better grasp the Devouring Domains. Since Dark Apparitions could understand it, why couldn't he? It was an opportunity. Wang Teng contemplated for some time before checking the last 3 attributes. One was the Metal Origin, which only had 800 points. However, it was already impressive for the Crown Prince to grasp an origin power. This proved how formidable he was. Metal Origin, 1050-10,000, first rank. Thank you for your 800 point. The hero thanked the prince in silence. No matter what, the latter was a good person. Next was the Darkness Origin. It only had 1,000 points, slightly more than the Metal Origin. Darkness Origin, 8110,000, first rank. The heroic Earthling glanced at his attributes board and noticed that the Darkness Origin was his most powerful origin power at the moment, nearly hitting the second rank. Alas, he had no use for it, and could only shelve it. Wang Teng suddenly wondered if he was similar to the Crown Prince. After all, he had an ample stock of Dark Force. He also considered another possibility. The prince possessing Dark Force caused him to develop a separate Dark persona. Gasp! Wang Teng shuddered. The thought was a little frightening. One had to consider the young noble's end. His mentality wasn't weak, and yet he was influenced by the dark. It was too scary. The hero opted to shelve the subject for the moment. The last attribute was the Devil Transformation. There were 6,500 points of the latter, which was quite a considerable amount. He had never received that much of this attribute before. The most he had acquired in the past was 2,000 points. This time, he gathered 6,500 points. Looks like the prince's Devil Transformation is extraordinary. Devil Transformation, 5,250,000, perfected. What? It used to be at the big achievement stage. How did it rise to the perfected stage? Wang Teng was shocked. What a high mastery. How scary would he be if he used the transformation? Wang Teng felt uncomfortable at the thought of using it. His path was getting darker and darker. Damn it, do I still have a chance to turn back? Chapter 1597. The End of the Competition. Bringing people together. 1. The mysteries revolving around the Crown Prince made Wang Teng feel suspicious of his own situation. The system was powerful and mysterious, however, it had never spoken. He didn't know what kind of presence it was. The hero glimpsed a sliver of universal truth as his ability increased. For instance, origin power came from the rules of heaven and earth. It was the most fundamental force in the universe. However, the system is able to plunder this power. It's an existence above all powers. In that case, what kind of presence is it? Why did it appear? Why did it choose me? Wang Teng had those questions in the past, but he wasn't powerful enough to get any answers back then. The situation had not changed thus far. He decided not to think about it. He turned and met up with the other candidates after collecting the attribute bubbles. The competition ended. It was time for them to leave the battle planet. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The place became silent once more, waiting for the arrival of the next League of Talents. The second prince and the others stared at the champion with conflicting emotions. They thought they were the same at first, talents on comparable terms, so the difference in abilities was supposed to be not too great. However, they were wrong. That fellow wasn't human. No one knew what to say for a moment. Why are you all looking at me like that? Said Wang Teng, breaking the silence with a smile. Don't you recognize me anymore? Ji Haochen walked over and pinched Wang Teng's cheeks. Let me check if you're a monster dressed like a human. Wang Teng laughed and shouted. Go away. A fair hand reached out and pinched the skin on his arm. Ouch. The hero gasped. He turned to look at Tu Xiaoba with a pained expression. You are quite bold. He didn't expect the young lady to take the chance and attack him. He wasn't on guard and she had no evil intentions, making her attempt successful. Hihi, I just wanted to try. The rabbit girl released her grip, her innocent smile showing some guilt. Wang Ting was speechless. What a naughty little rabbit, she hasn't learned her lesson. She probably needs to remember the previous beating. He glanced at Tu Xiaoba's head and wondered if he should hit it. Don't even think about hitting me. The rabbit girl jumped back. Yu Qiqiao was also afraid of the hero, but she stood her ground and pulled Tu Xiaoba behind her. She stared at him fearlessly. Ha ha ha. The second prince and the others finally burst out laughing, amused by Tu Xiaoba's antics. The young hero was helpless. Everyone became fearless once the competition ended. Well, none of them bore grudges with him, so he didn't have any reasons to get violent. You are scary. Did you use space power in your last attack? Asked the second prince after he controlled his laughter. There's nothing to hide, since you already know. Wang Ting nodded. So you do possess space talent. Yu Qiqiao said. Why don't you guess? Wang Ting smiled. Guess? Why do you always like to make people guess? Yu Qiqiao rolled her eyes, feeling at a loss. The candidates chatted away as they returned to Ring 1. Wang Ting realized that someone had gone missing. He said softly, Has Landon left already? The second prince replied, He probably went to meet the rest of the Parker's team members. He gave the hero a meaningful gaze. He was quick to turn tail and run. Wang Ting sighed. What a pity. The crowd's expressions were strange. This fellow is still thinking about the Parkers. Hey, where's the third prince? The hero glanced around, feeling disappointed. Everyone. This fellow is so narrow-minded. He wasn't willing to let the third prince go, even after giving the latter a rough beating during the competition. Is he planning to tease me? Wang Ting shook his head and patted Gaunt's shoulder. You are more courageous than them. Am I a vengeful person? The competition ended already. Why would I bother to target them again? Sigh, I'm so sad. Gaunt shuddered. The muscles on his face, which had recovered and weren't swollen anymore, twitched uncontrollably. He remained silent, but he was already complaining and cursing in his heart. You really are a vengeful person. He was nervous, but he snorted and shifted to the side. Don't come near me. We're not close. Come on, we bonded after exchanging blows. Don't be so heartless. Wang Ting rushed forward and laid his arm over the poison expert's shoulder. They looked like buddies. Everyone started praying for the latter. They wondered if he would run into any accidents after meeting the new champion. May God bless him. This big devil is really scary, whispered the rabbit girl, still hidden behind Yu Qiqiao. Stop taunting him. I can't stop him, whispered the valiant lady in front. Sister Yu, why don't you marry the big devil? We'll be a family then. Tu Xiaoba's words astounded all those present. The former stumbled, feeling betrayed by her best friend. She stared at the innocent and naive rabbit girl in disbelief. Then, she blushed upon seeing all eyes on her, their faces showing weird expressions. The young woman tugged Tu Xiaoba's long ear angrily. Tu Xiaoba, I'm the one standing up for you all the time, now you want to sell me out? Chapter 1598. The end of the competition. Bringing people together. 2. Ouch. Tu Xiaoba wanted to dodge but it was too late. She shouted after being pinched, Sister Yu, forgive me, I won't forgive you this time. Yu Qiqiao gritted her teeth and glared at the rabbit girl. This is infuriating. Is her heart black? The skittish girl hurried to explain, Sister Yu, I'll never do this again. I only said it because he's handsome, talented, and powerful. I'm not doing this for my own sake. The former gave some careful thought to the idea. The fellow was indeed handsome, talented, and powerful. He's just a little evil. Wait, what am I thinking? She snapped out of her reverie, almost falling for her friend's trick. She glared at the latter and said, Do you think I'd believe you? Situ Weiner walked over and thumped Tu Xiaoba's forehead, then said with a smile, Little rabbit, where do you get all these bad ideas from? Wang Ting has a fiancé. Why are you matchmaking randomly? Can't you marry as many people as you want as long as all parties agree? The rabbit girl asked. Everyone. What kind of frightening words are those? Yu Qiqiao was speechless. Is Tu Xiaoba asking me to share a man with another woman? Wait, What did Sichu Weina say just now? Wang Ting has a fiancé, so it's best if we don't play matchmaker randomly. Is my reputation not as important as Wang Ting's? Whether he has a fiancé or not is completely unrelated to me. We have no ties whatsoever. Please don't make fun of me anymore, she replied calmly, having recovered her composure. You're right. Stop joking around. Sichu Weina blinked and smiled gently at Tu Xiaoba. The latter looked back and forth between the other two women. Both looked gentle and elegant, yet she could smell gunpowder and smoke between them for some reason. It was scary. The atmosphere wasn't right. The little rabbit shivered in fear. Her pupils were quickly moving left and right as her mind worked furiously. Then, she gave them an innocent expression and replied, "You're right. I'm the one at fault." The other two replied with a smile after hearing the response. Lung Qianxue watched them from the side, her eyes showing a strange glimmer. The rabbit girl stuck out her tongue and slowly inched towards her two sisters again, showering them with praises to appease them. Wang Ting didn't know he had almost been the trigger for a girl fight. He was still talking to Gaunt. The hero decided to have a good chat with the poison expert since he rarely met warriors with that specialty. Furthermore, the fellow was a genius. Gaunt didn't want to talk to him, but then he felt shocked by the topics mentioned by the young hero, covering several poisons. Why does he understand poisons so well? I'm an alchemist and a poison master. Wang Ting smiled. There were many similarities between alchemists and poison masters. After all, medicine could save but could also kill people. Gaunt felt enlightened. He didn't think that the champion would also have expertise in poisons since he already controlled enough forces. Adding poison to the list made him practically a monster. Moreso, he shared the same passion and understanding as when it came to toxins. He quickly felt that he had found a friend with a common interest. Of course, he wouldn't let down his guard towards the hero just like that. He still remembered how the guy had left him battered and bruised. However, he couldn't help himself whenever he talked about poisons. It was the typical fellow who claimed to be against something while his actions betrayed him. The second prince and the others walked over, surprised to see how the two were happily carrying a conversation. They realized what topic they were talking about. No wonder Gaunt couldn't control himself. "Wang Teng, you're a Grandmaster alchemist, aren't you?" said the young prince. The hero nodded in response. "What, you're a Grandmaster alchemist?" Gaunt was stunned. He couldn't believe the fellow had actually reached the qualification at such a young age. Lung Qianxue, Su Jianchen, and Yu Qiqiao were also shocked. They stared at the hero absent-mindedly. Wang Teng smiled and replied calmly, "Don't look at me like that. I'm just a Grandmaster." "Just a Grandmaster?" Everyone rolled their eyes. "Come on, a Grandmaster is not a small thing. What do you mean by only bragging much?" The poison expert couldn't look down on Wang Teng anymore. At first he had just felt that the hero had a decent understanding of poisons, which made him someone worth talking to. He didn't expect him to be a Grandmaster. Compared to a Grandmaster, his poison mastery was nothing. He suddenly understood why the Earthling was unaffected by his poison during the battle. Damn it, he's my nemesis. The poisoner's attitude had a complete changeover. He decided it was better to forget about revenge for the pummeling during the competition. The guy wasn't someone he could provoke. Besides, he felt greatly enlightened by their conversation and knew how to appreciate kindness. Since Wang Ting had taken the initiative to talk to him, he wouldn't be the fool and push him away. Having that thought in mind, he gave the second prince a grateful glance. The prince was a smooth and smart person. A single sentence had allowed him to understand the crux of the situation and prevented him from a future gaffe that would end up in suffering. The hero was also aware of the prince's intent, and took the chance to reveal his Grandmaster status. The atmosphere became even more harmonious. There weren't any deep-seated grudges between them, so everyone became more willing to befriend the champion. Even Yu Qiqiao and Su Jianchen said a few words, aiming to become part of Wang Teng's friend circle. The second prince smiled in secret. All of them were geniuses from the great Qian Empire. He hoped that they would remain on amicable terms, helping one another once they entered the 7 stellar academies. It was a fact that there would be talents from other planetary sectors. Being at odds amongst them would only benefit outsiders. Actually, if not for the Crown Prince's crisis, he could have been the one bringing them together. Given the noble's talent and status, none of the other candidates would say no. Alas, accidents did happen in life. The second prince could only sigh in his heart. Fortunately, there was Wang Ting. The hero was also part of the military. His status and identity were both extraordinary. To top it off, he had great abilities and a terrifying talent. That was enough to convince the crowd and make them respect him, maybe even more than the Crown Prince himself. He could become a great connector. He just needed to make things happen. Whether Wang Ting could turn from a connector into their leader would depend on himself. Just then, a light screen descended from the sky, landing on Ring 1. 7 figures appeared. The hero blinked. They were the 7 invigilators from the 7 stellar academies. The second prince quickly looked over. All the finalists had their guesses. "We are the invigilators from the 7 stellar academies," said a voice coming from the light screen. The geniuses were stunned, and soon their eyes lit up. The League of Talents has successfully come to an end. Congratulations on entering the top 1000 ranking. All of you emerged from a series of tough battles, showing us the brilliance and might that talented martial warriors should possess. One of you even entered the star rankings. The 7 invigilators looked at the person mentioned. Wang Ting. The others also turned to look at him. That's right, it's Wang Ting. Entering the star rankings is the ultimate recognition. However, Wang Ting has earned it. We have all witnessed his performance. But, entering the star rankings also means that more challenges will follow. We hope that you can remain firm in your path and rise to great heights, just like the other talents listed on the ranking. Everyone was dumbstruck. None of them thought that the invigilators would sing such high praises for the hero. Rise to great heights. How far will Wang Ting be able to go? This is astonishing. Another voice continued, at the same time, I also believe that many of you will become renowned powerhouses of the universe in the distant future. This is just the start of your journey, a long path lies ahead. The 7 stellar academies have now opened the doors to you. Whether you become an exalted figure throughout the universe, fade into obscurity, or fail halfway, it depends solely upon yourselves. Keep on climbing. Your martial arts path has just begun. We wish all of you success in your journey. Chapter 1599 Choice 1. The 7 invigilators finished their speech and disappeared. Finally, the League of Talents came to a close. The second prince and the others heaved sighs of relief. Standing before the 7 academies experts was stressful. Ji Haochen exclaimed, so, those were the invigilators of the 7 stellar academies. The 7 powerhouses had made an appearance previously, all to form a shield around the devilized crown prince. That was when everyone saw them. However, their identities weren't known at the time. Only Wang Ting knew. No one had made the connection upon their first appearance. The warriors only learned of the invigilators' identities when they introduced themselves just then. They should be at the eternal stage, right? Even their holograms felt oppressive, Timothy said. Well, they are the invigilators of the 7 stellar academies, the second prince said with a sigh. Wang Ting had a sudden thought. It is likely that the other planetary sectors have eternal stage invigilators as well. How many eternal stage warriors do the academies have in total? It's unimaginable. How do you know that other leagues of talents are also held in other planetary sectors? The second prince was surprised. I've heard about it. The hero smiled. The former gave him a meaningful glance. Wang Ting changed the topic and got up. Let's go. The 7 invigilators want to meet us personally. He walked towards the military battle fortress. The second prince and the rest of the top 10 winners felt elated. They quickly followed the hero. Those who made it to the 10 most powerful had the chance to select the Stellar Academy. That was why the invigilators wanted to meet and speak to them personally. The Academy's final resolution for the remaining warriors of the top 1000 would be sent directly to their wristwatches. They had no right to choose. There was a person greeting the top 10 fighters once they reached the battle fortress. The military warriors saluted the hero with intense and respectful gazes whenever they encountered him. All the military staff would stop and salute the champion along the way. The hero went through the motions at first. However, he had no choice but to simplify his response with a smile, given the increasing number of soldiers showing respect. There were too many of them. Their attitude had become even more enthusiastic and respectful than before the competition. He felt a little uncomfortable. Ji Haochen elbowed the hero and chuckled. "Wang Teng, you're stealing all the limelight." Wang Teng replied calmly, "Just a little." Ji Haochen. The second prince laughed and shook his head. Soon, they reached the main control room. All 7 invigilators were already there, waiting for them. Landon from the Parkers was there, too. The young hero was familiar with the place and met the invigilators before, so he was quick to greet them. As for the other candidates, that was their first time inside the massive ship and they had never conversed with the scholars before. They had not learned their names, or which academy they were from, so they didn't know what to say. Fortunately, the instructors didn't allow the atmosphere to remain awkward for too long. They quickly made the introductions. "It's an honor to meet you," said the second prince and the others. "You're too polite." Gong Han and the rest of the academics waved their hands. "I'm sure all of you know why we called you over. How much do you know about the 7 stellar academies?" The young warriors exchanged glances and replied, "Not much. We will send you some information about the academies later. You can review it before making a decision." Gong Han nodded. He wasn't surprised by their reaction since the 7 stellar academies had always been mysterious, never revealing much to the public. The candidates replied quickly, "Yes. This is a special wristwatch given to our students. You will use this from now on." Gong Han waved a hand and 9 devices flew towards the candidates. The youngsters promptly grabbed them. The wristwatches were pure black, with the symbols of the academies etched on them. The numbers from 1 to 7 in an ancient language had been carved on the inside of the watch. They curiously examined the devices before wearing them. After that, they activated the watches and entered their personal accounts. Privileged information had already been loaded onto the devices, which was basically the introduction of the 7 stellar academies. "The information will be automatically deleted after you read it," Gong Han explained. The second prince and the others felt nervous. They read the briefing carefully, knowing it was their only chance. As for Wang Ting, he was feeling confused. "Why didn't I get a wristwatch?" He stared at Gong Han and the rest of the scholars with a puzzled expression. "Ha ha ha." Sikong the second couldn't help but laugh when he noticed the hero's confusion. "You're special." Wang Teng was stunned. The other candidates looked over. Gong Han produced another wristwatch. It was similar to the others, but there were some differences. There were numerous stars pasted on the item's surface that shimmered on occasion. The light was gentle, adding the watch's black surface. They looked like planets and stars in the universe, exquisite and beautiful. Chapter 1600 Choice 2. This is a wristwatch meant for talents who made it into the star rankings. It was supposed to work as a spare. I wasn't expecting it to be used this time. Gong Han handed it to Wang Teng and smiled. The hero took it and stowed his old wristwatch, feeling there was an instant upgrade. His original watch was also an expensive, state-of-the-art device, but the new acquisition seemed to be far superior for some reason. It was like the difference between ordinary and luxury goods, being clearly one of the latter. Others will know that you're a ranker when they see you wearing it. I'm sure many people will be envious of you. Sikong the second laughed. The hero's face darkened, feeling he was being targeted. If you want to wear a crown, you have to bear its weight. Nancy snickered. Whoever has made it to the star rankings in the past has emerged victorious from amongst countless talents. Old Wang pouted and glanced at the young champion. "Little Ting, are you afraid?" "I'm afraid of unnecessary trouble." Wang Teng replied calmly. "Can't you finish your sentences properly? I thought you were truly afraid." Nancy rolled her eyes at the lad. "Invigilator Nancy, don't roll your eyes at me," said the hero. The former grumbled. "Why? I can't even roll my eyes. You look too good." "I can't handle it," Wang Teng replied. Nancy felt that she was being teased. Someone her age could be the hero's great-great-great-grandmother. She wasn't expecting him to have such guts. Ha ha ha, you're really interesting, little Ting. Seekong II laughed. Come join the 7th Stellar Academy. I feel that you'll be very compatible with our style. Hogwash. Going to the 7th Academy is basically wasting his talents. Come to our 5th Stellar Academy, Old Wang exclaimed. You should join the 2nd Stellar Academy. Didn't you say I was good looking? You can look at me every day. Nancy smiled. Old Wang snarled. Aren't you shameless, Nancy? Seducing students at your ripe old age. Seekong II chimed in. That's right. Such an attitude is unbecoming of your age. Wang Ting, there are many young ones in our academy. Who's the old one? Veins bulged on Nancy's forehead as she gritted her teeth. The other two scholars immediately cleared their throats and exchanged glances before looking away. Wang Teng, the 3rd Stellar Academy has the best resources. 2 of our students have claimed spots on the Universe Goddess rankings, Trollope mentioned. The 3rd Stellar Academy had always been commendable in that regard, and were thus confident. Gong Han glanced disdainfully at the other invigilators and said, Wang Teng, the 1st Stellar Academy has been at the forefront for a very long time, with the best background and foundations. It is clearly the best choice for you. All of the scholars were quite unorthodox. It wasn't graceful on their part. The second prince and the others witnessed their squabble, dumbfounded. The experts were calm towards them, but scrambled when it came to Wang Teng's turn. Moreover, the invigilators were the shameless sort. Their previous image was immediately changed. Invigilator Nancy tried to lure the hero with her looks. That was fine, after all, she had the capital. However, the other invigilators tried to use their students who were on the Universe Goddess rankings to attract him. Such a ranking didn't sound reliable. They are the invigilators of the 7 Stellar Academies. Do they have no bottom line? The magnificent image they had of the scholars was starting to crumble, ready to collapse. No wonder Wang Ting was unwilling to say much when they asked what the invigilators were like. They would have done the same in his shoes. Had they known about it, they could have been charged with talking bad about the invigilators and be blacklisted. However, they understood why the academics were going to such lengths for the champion. How highly did they value him? Comparisons were infuriating. Wang Ting cleared his throat and said, Cough, invigilators, I reviewed the information and feel that the 7th Stellar Academy would be more suitable for me. The 7th Stellar Academy. Seekong II was elated. On the other hand, the rest of the scholars frowned. General Fu Xinglan, the second prince and the others also frowned. In gross terms, the 7th Academy was at the bottom of the list. Given his talents, going there was a bit of a waste. Wang Teng, don't be impulsive, General Fu Xinglan cautioned via voice transmission. Wang Teng reassured the latter, General, I know what I'm doing. The general glanced at the young hero. Although smiling, Wang Teng's eyes were firm. This made him understand that no one would make the boy reconsider. The official sighed, leaving the matter to rest. Gong Han pondered, Wang Teng, I know you possess different forces. That is why you chose the 7th Academy, right? I really can't hide anything from you. Wang Teng smiled and nodded. Talents like you always veer away from the beaten path. Gong Han smiled. However, you should know that the 7th Stellar Academy has always been ranked last. It never rose once for some reason. Hey. Gong Han, watch what you're saying. What's wrong with the 7th Stellar Academy? Seekong II snarled. Isn't that the truth? Gong Han glanced at the latter. Let me ask you. Are any of our graduates weak? The former countered. But there have been too few who managed to graduate. Many of them only get halfway. What an awful waste of talent. Gong Han responded. That's right. It would be a waste to enter the 7th Academy, Old Wang echoed. You mustn't go there. It's a huge pit, Nancy said. Gong Han tried his best to persuade, Wang Teng, I know what you're thinking. After all, you were born with such great talent and it's hard to give up that easily. Still, you have to know that once you reach the cosmos stage, the more forces you cultivate, the slower your progress will be. The amount of resources needed to advance will be massive. It'll be difficult for you to grow. Sikong II said, "You can't say that. It will be tougher for our students at first. However, as long as they grow, one of ours can deal with several of yours. Besides, the students get to choose. They have higher goals, we can't force them. Besides, if Wang Ting enters the 7th Stellar Academy, we would give him ample resources and nurture him well." Gong Han wanted to continue, but Wang Ting beat him to it. "I am truly grateful for all the care and concern the invigilators have shown me. However, my decision still stands. The 7th Stellar Academy is the one most suitable for me." Ha ha ha. It's useless to keep persuading him. This is Wang Ting's own decision, we respect it. Sikong II laughed and added, "Wang Ting, don't worry. Considering your talents, you will definitely receive the best training when you get to our academy." You. Sigh. Gong Han looked at the hero and could only sigh in disappointment. "We can't say more since you've already made your choice. However, the 1st Stellar Academy will accept you if you ever regret your decision." Wang Ting looked at him with surprise. "This is fine." Even Sikong II, Nancy and the others were taken aback. It was clear how highly Gong Han thought of the young hero. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such an offer, which was borderline breaking the rules. Nancy, Old Wang and the other invigilators also expressed similar stances. Any of their academies would take him in if he ever left the 7th Stellar Academy. The onlookers were astonished. No one else had received such a treatment. Many thanks to the invigilators. Wang Ting knew how important those promises were and was a bit moved. He offered the scholars a deep bow. Chapter 1601 Status Rise. 1. Wang Ting made his decision as to which academy he would join. The second prince and the others followed suit. Everyone chose different academies. It seemed that they had contemplations of their own. Still, much to our hero's surprise, Yu Chichiao also chose the 7th Stellar Academy. Sikong II was elated. One student was already a great boon, and he was graced with 2 this time. Furthermore, one of them was the unparalleled talent who had his name inscribed on the star rankings. The elder was extremely pleased. Even his back straightened a little when he glanced at the other invigilators. The young hero smiled and shook his head when he saw the latter's attitude. This invigilator is quite the easygoing type, all his emotions are in the open. Then, he secretly glanced at Yu Chichiao. He felt puzzled by her choice, but he didn't give it much thought. The latter was softly chatting with Lung Chenxue, so she didn't notice Wang Ting's gaze. "You have 1 month to take care of your personal matters. After that you must report to the Stellar Academies," Gong Han said. 1 month. Everyone was stunned. The allotted time was limited. Traveling alone would take up some time. The hero frowned. What could he do in such a short time? He couldn't even go back to the Great Qian Empire. "After taking care of your personal matters, you can use your wristwatch to contact the academies and we will send spacecrafts to fetch you," the elder continued. Yes. Everyone was surprised, but they soon remembered how mysterious the 7 Stellar Academies were. Without this service, it would probably be impossible to find the academies' locations. Such an arrangement was understandable. "Okay, that is all. We have completed our mission and it's time to leave." Gong Han waved a hand and smiled. "Why don't you stay for a few more days?" said General Fu Xinglan. Gong Han shook his head. "It's all right. We need to report back." "In that case, let us send you off," the former replied. All the eternal stage warriors had already disappeared in the control room when the last phrase was said. Only a slight space ripple lingered. Neither the second prince nor the others felt the fluctuation. Only Wang Ting had sensed it, since he had the space talent. Once again, he was amazed by the strength of the eternal stage warriors. Ji Haochen stretched his back and gave a loud sigh. "I didn't even dare breathe loudly in front of the invigilators." "Why are you so timid?" said Wang Ting, glancing at the latter from the corner of his eye. "Me? Timid?" Ji Haochen was furious. "Do you think everyone can get their favor like you? Talk is cheap. You're timid." "Stop finding excuses," the hero said contemptuously. The former felt frustrated. Ha ha ha, the second prince and the others burst out laughing. Actually, the invigilators have high hopes for all of us. I'm sure everyone has received messages from the 7 academies, said the prince with a meaningful gaze. That's right. I received a second message on my wristwatch. Timothy nodded. Why didn't I get one? Wang Teng was stunned. He looked through the contents of his wristwatch. Only the introduction of the 7 stellar academies was there. They have already asked you in person, what more do you want? Ji Haochen replied angrily. Sai Tilda the young hero sighed and shook his head. Being too outstanding isn't good. I feel so out of place. So stressful. Everyone was speechless. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. You're not too outstanding. You're just bragging. There's not much we can do in a single month, said Yu Chiqiao. The second prince replied with a smile, don't worry, the military will send us back in eternal rank ships. Eternal rank ships? Yu Chiqiao and Ling Yangshu were stunned. Don't sell yourselves short. You are among the top 10 from the League of Talents. Your statuses have changed, said the prince. Even our treatment has improved, Wang Teng lamented. He had just learned about the additional benefits of being a top 10 genius of the competition. Of course. You are the most precious and talented warriors in all of the Great Qian Empire. Eternal-level spacecraft aren't just convenient, it also serves as protection, the prince added. Protection? Wang Ting stared at the second prince curiously. A voice suddenly chimed in, you'll be entering the 7 stellar academies as the top 10 performers of the competition. There's a bright future ahead, but there are bound to be people who are jealous of you. Be it someone from the Great Qian Empire, a rival force from another region, or a dark apparition lurking in the universe, any of them could make a move against you. Everyone was shocked. They quickly turned and saw the 3 generals stepping out of the void in front of them. Have you already sent the invigilators off? Wang Teng asked. Yes, they have left. General Fu Xinglan nodded. I didn't realize we'd still be in danger after entering the League of Talents top 10, Ji Haochen exclaimed. He was a renowned talent from the Ji family, but he wasn't familiar with such matters. Chapter 1602 Status Rise. 2. It's normal. Assassinating geniuses has always been a tactic employed by hostile forces, Timothy lamented. General Fu Xinglan comforted them. Don't worry. The military will send warriors to protect you along the way. The geniuses relaxed a little after hearing that. Anyone would feel worried upon learning they would be targeted by enemies. They were talents in their own right, but they were indeed wary of assassinations. They wouldn't fear 1-versus-1 battles, however, assassinations were always hard to prevent or guard against. Everyone, please have some rest in the battle fortress. Your ranking has already been reported to the higher-ups of the Empire, and I'm sure the rewards will come soon. General Fu Xinglan smiled. Wang Teng's eyes lit up when he heard this. Since the first time he heard about the League of Talents, Round Ball had immediately told him that there would be great rewards if he claimed a spot in the top 10. Among the prizes was the right to enter the Uncharted. However, he knew this would only be made available once he entered one of the academies, so he wasn't in a hurry. Aside from this reward, there were still UCs, battle techniques and weapons. These could be received instantly. Our hero was almost a pauper, so he really looked forward to receiving those things. Another thing of note, he was the champion, meaning that the rewards would be juicier for him. He was filled with anticipation. General Fu Xinglan arranged lodgings for the talents and led them so they could rest. The young warriors had been through many battle rounds, so both their bodies and spirits were exhausted. A good rest was sorely needed. Colonel Wang Ting, this is your chamber. You just need to use your ID to open it, said a soldier who guided the hero. Thank you. Wang Ting nodded. You're too polite. It's an honor to serve you. The fellow bowed respectfully and left. Wang Ting watched the soldier leave, then, he opened the door. The room was luxurious, with all kinds of amenities. Wow, I didn't expect a room in the battle fortress to be so extravagant. The hero was surprised, since the military's style was normally simple and plain. Such lavish arrangements were rare. What he didn't know was that the room had the highest standard in the military, and was usually designated to welcome people with special identities. Wang Teng was the overall champion in the League of Talents, as well as an expert listed on the star rankings. The military had placed much importance in him for those reasons, giving him the best of the best. Besides, he was one of their own. Not even the second prince or the other finalists receive such a treatment. Not dwelling much on the subject, the hero landed on the bed and instantly fell asleep. He felt refreshed the next day. Much of his injuries were healed after consuming a few healing dans he made himself. That was an advantage of being a grandmaster alchemist. There was no lack of pills. Since there were no internal injuries, recovery was quick-paced. He went to the bathroom to freshen up and changed his clothes. Right then he received a message from General Fu Xinglan. He wanted to meet him. He smiled and mumbled, "Looks like the rewards are here." "I wonder what rewards they'll give you," said Round Ball, speaking into his mind. "Who knows?" Wang Ting shook his head and walked out of the room. There was already a soldier waiting outside ready to guide him. "First place holder and star ranker. Your rewards will certainly be many." Round Ball felt conflicted. The little helper didn't believe at first that the hero could defeat all his opponents and claim the top position. Furthermore, he actually entered the star rankings. "I hope so," Wang Ting muttered. "Come on, you're in the star rankings. Do you know how important that is? The Great Qian Empire will certainly take you seriously," Round Ball said. "Is it that important?" The hero was surprised. He wasn't familiar with the star rankings, so he thought it was useless. He didn't see it as a cause for tangible benefits. Entering the star rankings means that the 7 stellar academies acknowledge your talent and consider that you're on par with all the other geniuses in the past. Mind you, those are top talents in all of the universe. They've all become formidable figures in their regions, except for the ones who met their demise. The little helper felt emotional. "Where did you learn all of this?" Wang Teng was surprised. "I used your security clearance and got it from the military database." Round Ball smiled. "Looks like the star rankings are indeed impressive," the hero exclaimed. "Why else do you think the invigilators from the 7 stellar academies placed such high importance on you?" asked the little helper. They reached the main control room while they spoke. "Generals," the hero greeted. Then, he saw Grand Duke Chongshan and was stunned. He quickly bowed. "Grand Duke Chongshan." The latter waved a hand. "You may rise." Wang Teng walked towards the second prince and the rest of the geniuses. "You look rested enough." The prince was amazed by the hero's glowing face. There was no traces of his previous injuries. "I've almost recovered." The hero nodded. "How long have you been here?" "Just arrived," the noble replied. Just then, the Grand Duke glanced at those present and said, "Since everyone is here, I'll announce the rewards the Empire has for you. All of you performed extremely well during this League of Talents, especially Wang Teng. I have to thank you for lending a hand with the Crown Prince matter." "You're too polite." "It was what I should have done," the hero quickly replied. He was relieved to see that the imperial family didn't resent him after beating the heir apparent, and even snatching the top position. Well, one could say that the hero was underestimating their magnanimity, tolerance, and largeness of spirit. They wouldn't bear a grudge because of those actions. Furthermore, the champion belonged to the Great Qian Empire. Their loss was minimal. The Grand Duke nodded upon seeing that Wang Teng remained humble and calm, even after the great recognitions received. Satisfied, he continued, "You have brought great pride and glory to our empire by entering the star rankings. I am also surprised. I was just performing at my usual level. I didn't know how I managed to enter the star rankings, either," said the young hero, laughing in the end. The second prince and the others gave him sidelong glances. "Performing like usual? You don't know how you entered the rankings? Why didn't we enter the star rankings then? This Wang Teng is infuriating." The Grand Duke was caught between laughter and tears. "All right, enough fooling around. I have brought the rewards the Empire has for you." His voice suddenly turned serious. "Baron Wang Ting." "Yes," said the hero with a stern voice, straightened his back. Now, on behalf of the Empire, I bestow upon you the title of Earl of the Empire. A square jade box appeared in the Grand Duke's hand. Ji Haochen and the others looked back and forth between the High Noble and Wang Teng, truly astonished. They could not believe it. He jumped 2 ranks. Wang Teng jumped 2 ranks and went from a baron to an earl. The hero was just as startled. His heart pounded furiously. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The Empire elevated his status and made him an earl. He clearly knew how hard it was to climb the ranks. Had he not received Nangong Yu's legacy and passed the trial back then, he wouldn't have gotten his title of baron. Cao Hongtu spent many years accumulating military achievements in order to obtain this own baron bestowal. However, Wang Ting caught up to him in the end. All of this proved how tough it was to get a title. Becoming baron was tedious enough, let alone becoming an earl. This was a huge reward. It seemed that the Empire would spare no expense in order to win him over. Chapter 1603. Double the reward, double the happiness. 1. Wang Ting's rise in noble status made everyone fall into shock. It took them a while to recover. Wang Teng, please take out your baron's seal, said Grand Duke Chongshan in a soft voice. The young hero regained his senses and took out his token from the space ring. Honestly, the seal had barely been stored there for a short time. Having to give it away saddened him a little. The Grand Duke opened the square jade box he was holding, revealing a similarly squarish seal of a different standard. All of the Empire's seals had a Kunwu beast on them. Depending on the bearer's status, the Kunwu beast would have a different number of horns. The creature depicted on a baron's seal had 1 horn while an earl's would have 3. Wang Ting's gaze turned sharp when he saw his earl's seal in the Grand Duke's hand. The latter clenched his fist and the seal flew over. He tapped on the item and a beam of golden light was shot, entering the earl's seal on his left hand. Then, he waved a hand and the new seal flew towards Wang Teng. Mark it with a drop of your blood, said the High Noble. The young hero complied, pricking his finger and leaving a drop of blood on the seal. The blood was sucked in the moment it landed on the 3-horned Kunwu beast. Boom! Suddenly, the new seal glowed intensely and floated, to then land in the hero's hand. From then on, he was a low-class baron no more. He became an earl. I know that you are pressed for time, and so we won't be holding a conferment ceremony. I hope you don't mind, said the Grand Duke. Why would I? Wang Teng smiled. I'm not fond of those things. This arrangement is great. It's good that you understand. Grand Duke Chongshan nodded. Then, he smiled and continued, the entire Great Qian Empire is in shock because you entered one of the 7 stellar academies. At the same time, the Empire is viewing you with greater significance. We actually wanted to bestow a Marquis title but you're too young. That is why you received the Earl title first. The Empire will elevate you to Marquis once you mature further in the academy. Another conferment. Ji Haochen and the others didn't know what to say anymore. They were filled with envy. Ji Haochen, Timothy, and some of the others were part of dukedom families. They had powerful backgrounds, but they themselves had no titles. Having titles like Wang Ting would raise their statuses, giving them greater authority in their families. As for Yu Chiqiao, Su Jianchen, and Leng Qianxue, they were lower born in comparison. Their desire for receiving noble titles from the Empire was much greater. All of you have rewards. Grand Duke Chongshan smiled when he saw the other geniuses' expressions. All of you possess great potential since you managed to enter the top 10. Aside from the second prince, the rest of you will be given baron titles. Yu Chiqiao and the others were elated. Well, become nobles too. It was just a baron title, but it did count as a qualitative leap. Even Su Jianchen and Leng Qianxue, always clear-minded and calm, were excited because of the news. The Grand Duke took out 8 baron seals and repeated the bestowal ceremony. Once you become barons, you will have your own fiefdoms. More details will be sent to you through your wristwatches. Please remember to check them. The High Noble then looked at the hero and said, your fiefdom will be expanded. 4 more galaxies close to the Yulon Galaxy will be added to your fiefdom. 4 more galaxies. Wang Ting was dumbfounded. He would now have 6 galaxies under his command. Also, your hometown, the Milky Way, will now be part of the Empire. It will also be counted as part of your fiefdom, said the Grand Duke. Thank you. The young hero was overjoyed and grateful. The news was amazing. The Milky Way was under his name, but accidents could still happen if there wasn't a strong faction protecting it. After all, he himself destroyed the Olant Federation. Now, his home galaxy would have an additional layer of protection after being annexed into the Empire as part of his fiefdom. Earthlings in the future could have the chance to explore the Great Qian Empire directly, all without having to worry about becoming slaves. Grand Duke Chongshan waved a hand and boxes appeared before the geniuses. These battle armors, weapons, and medicinal darns are also part of your rewards. UCs have been credited directly into your accounts. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. He didn't rush to open his box. Instead, he asked Roundball to check his account. Wang Teng, you have received 5 trillion UC in your Universe Bank account, Roundball said. 5 trillion. The hero was truly surprised. Not bad, this can solve my urgencies. The Empire is being extremely generous this time, the little helper lamented. I think it's because you entered the star rankings. Honestly, even after becoming the champion, hundreds of billions would have been enough. Yep. Wang Teng nodded. He finally understood what benefits the star rankings could give him. What a surprise. A pleasant surprise. He wasn't lying when he said he didn't know how he got into the star rankings. Back in the first elimination round, he asked his clones to enter 4 different zones because he merely wanted to collect more attribute. Chapter 1604 Double the Reward, Double the Happiness. 2. Wang Teng decided to fight 16 candidates at once because he wanted to save time. Finally, the devilization of the Crown Prince was also a matter beyond his control. To sum it up, he competed as per usual, never sparing a thought about entering the so-called star rankings. The hero finally shifted his attention to the box he received and opened it. An exquisite silver-white battle armor with purple lightning patterns laid quietly inside the casing. It gave off a powerful and domineering aura. Beside the battle armor was a long purple sword. It was ancient and unique, radiating a sharp and oppressive vibe. A battle armor and a weapon of the lightning element, both of universe rank, somebody exclaimed beside the hero. It was Ji Haochen. The second prince, Timothy, and the rest looked over, bewilderment showing in their eyes. A universe-level armor, and a sword of the same rank. Furthermore, both were of the lightning element. The items in Wang Teng's box exceeded their expectations. Ji Haochen and the rest had already checked their own boxes. Their weapons and armor were at the heaven rank and were customized to fit their cultivation path. They were elated. However, some disappointment set in when they saw the champion's rewards. Not only did he get the title of Earl, his weapon and armor were also a notch higher than theirs. The price difference between heaven-level and universe-level items wasn't just twofold. The gap was abysmal. Ling Yangshu was jealous since he also was a lightning element warrior. He didn't feel much for the long sword since he was a spear user, but the lightning armor was extremely tempting. He wished he could snatch it. To others, a lightning armor of universe rank was merely surprising to others, while it was fatally alluring to him. Unfortunately, this reward belonged to someone else. He looked at his heaven-ranked armor and spear, his happiness gone. Wang Teng glanced at the rest. These people are making a ruckus over nothing. How ignorant. Only the second prince managed to remain composed. Do you like them? Asked the Grand Duke with a smile. Yes, I do. But, the hero paused for a second, then looked at the High Noble with a bewildered expression. Isn't this reward a little heavy? In fact, he didn't have many universe-level weapons or armor. Especially lightning element armor. He didn't have any before. It was indeed a grand gift. You deserve it, replied Grand Duke Chongshan, smiling once more. You granted me an Earl title and now this huge reward. I feel overwhelmed. The hero smiled back. Ji Haochen and the others glanced at the latter, while complaining in their hearts. Damn it, this fellow is just being pretentious. Ha ha ha, as long as you're a citizen of the Great Qian Empire, You have the right to receive these rewards. The Grand Duke laughed. I wouldn't be who I am without the Empire. I will always be a part of it. Wang Ting nodded. He wasn't lying. He met many enemies in the Empire, but he also met more friends and benefactors. Even the imperial family had given him plenty of help in secret, so he felt a sense of belonging towards the Grand Empire. The Grand Duke felt relieved after seeing the firm and stern gaze of the hero. He didn't want to groom a white-eyed wolf. Fortunately, based on the young hero's previous actions, he wasn't that kind of person. Keep it, said the High Noble. It would be ungracious of me to decline these gifts then. Wang Ting nodded and stored the rewards with the wave of a hand. Ling Yangshu felt disappointed. His heart was bleeding. Wang Ting noticed the fellow's reaction and chuckled in secret, knowing what the latter was thinking. Feeling jealous? Wang Ting whispered. Ling Yangshu immediately changed his expression and snorted as he looked over. Don't be like that. A man should be straightforward. If you say it, I might let you touch it, the hero continued. Really? Ling Yang's eyes lit up. He would love to do that, even if he couldn't have it. Of course. The former nodded firmly. Cough, I am a little envious, just a little. I mean, that's a universe-ranked armor of the lightning element, the warrior said. Keep feeling envious then, Wang Teng replied. Ling Yangshu was stunned. The second prince and the others burst out laughing upon hearing their conversation. They felt sad for the fellow. Leng Qianxue and Yu Qiqiao's expressions turned strange. Wang Teng is really evil. The Grand Duke laughed and shook his head while glancing at the hero. All right, stop fooling around. The 7 stellar academies didn't leave much time for you. Prepare to head back and settle your personal matters. After that, report directly to your academies. Don't waste any time. Yes. Everyone was quick to reply. Ling Yangshu wanted to speak, but was cut off by the Grand Duke's announcement. All he could do was glare at Wang Teng. Chapter 1605 Double the Reward, Double the Happiness. 3. Don't look at me like that, I'll let you touch it next time. I'm not lying, said Wang Teng and turned to leave. He couldn't stand the fellow's bitter expression. Wang Teng, stay back for a while, General Fu Xinglan shouted just then. Yes. The hero stopped in his tracks and looked at the high official. Wang Teng, are you going back to planet Great Qian? The second prince asked. If you are, I can wait for you so we can travel together. The hero declined the offer. Nope, I'll be heading to planet Yumming. All right, see you in the 7 stellar academies, said the prince, nodding with a smile. He gave the earthling a meaningful look. See you. The hero nodded back. After sending off the rest of the geniuses, General Fu Xinglan looked at Wang Teng, feeling contentment. Looks like you have a good relationship with the other candidates. He originally thought that their junior would make enemies wherever he went, considering his brutal means, always hitting people's heads. Honestly, which talent could swallow such humiliation? But, unexpectedly, the geniuses weren't showing much contempt towards him, and some were quite friendly, even. Just from their previous interactions, the other talents had voluntarily gathered around Wang Teng. They probably did so unwittingly. The hero possessed a unique quality, which allowed him to earn the trust and respect of those talents. Of course, the most important factor was his exceptional talent and ability. Neither the second prince nor the rest of the geniuses would treat him like that if he were just an ordinary warrior. It's not too bad. We got to know each other better after fighting. Wang Teng didn't realize what the generals saw, so he was a bit surprised. General Fu Xinglan changed the topic with a smile. I asked you to stay a bit longer because the military has prepared a reward for you. More rewards. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. He felt incredibly lucky. He was receiving rewards from the Empire and the military. His treatment was 2 times better compared to the rest. Double the reward, double the happiness. Actually, the others would probably get some rewards from their own factions. However, it wouldn't be as good as what the military would grant. Ha ha ha, I didn't know you were a money grubber. General Habakkuk laughed. Who doesn't like rewards? The hero chuckled. You brought glory to the military this time. The higher authorities are overjoyed, so they want to reward you, General Fu Xinglan explained. Wang Ting didn't act politely with the officials, asking directly, "What reward?" "It's inappropriate to raise your rank now, so your reward will mostly be in the form of resources," General Fu Xinglan answered. "The military has decided to give you the authority of a lieutenant general, so you can buy more resources on our logistics website. You will also receive the associated benefits, as well as a large amount of contribution points. They can be used for your purchases." "That's great." The young hero was elated. He would get the authority but not the rank of lieutenant general. However, that was good enough already. Come on, it was already in the general ranks range. "All right, you can go back and check your account. You should get going soon." General Fu Xinglan laughed. "Yes," Wang Teng replied. He settled his emotions and saluted the three generals before leaving the control room. Sometime later, an Eternal-level spacecraft flew out of the battle fortress, bound for planet Yumming. Chapter 1606 Return to planet Yumming. 1. Yulon Galaxy. Planet Yumming, spacecraft docking port. The planet's governor, Zhuang Wei's, was patiently waiting at the dock with the other dignitaries. Wu Xingyun, Old Han, Commander Hong, and the other people from Earth were also waiting by the side. The appearance of that group was attracting much attention. Who are they? Their auras are so powerful. They must be heaven stage warriors. I think the man in the lead is planet Yumming's governor. Is that Zhuang Wei's? Ah, Governor Zhuang. I once had the honor of meeting the governor. Indeed, that is him. The ones next to him are the higher-ups from the planet. I see a few family heads from the elite families. Those are all powerful figures. They rarely make public appearances. Why are they all here today? They seem to be waiting for someone. Could it be Baron Wang Ting? The League of Talents has already ended, so our overlord must be returning. What Baron Wang Ting? Has an Earl now. Right, Earl Wang Ting. Zhuang Wei's was planet Yumming's governor and head of the Zhuang family, so almost everyone knew him. Furthermore, the rest of the bigwigs were also present. Many recognized him at a glance. If all of those big names had shown up to greet someone, the latter had to be an important figure. Such a setting made most of the ones present quickly think of the Yulon Galaxy's overlord. Many among the citizens had learned who Wang Teng was after the League of Talents ended. Everyone on planet Yumming, or rather the whole galaxy, was familiar with the hero. After all, he was their overlord, who won first place in the grandest competition and entered the star rankings. It was a great honor for the whole Yulon Galaxy. Everyone felt proud of their sovereign. Whenever they met people from other parts of the universe and talked about the League of Talents, they would feel proud of their own galaxy. The Great Qian Empire had also announced the rise in Wang Ting's noble status. Thus, many people knew about his change in status. This news caused a huge uproar. It had been many years since a baron was directly bestowed the title of Earl. It was impossible to jump 2 levels, unless there was an accumulation of great military exploits or other achievements in the empire. However, everyone was convinced by Wang Ting's performance during the competition. Such conferment wasn't excessive. Besides their overlord, no one was worth such grand reception. Zhuang Wei's smiled and consoled the people next to him. "Brother Wu, Brother Han, don't be so impatient. Earl Wang Ting should be here soon." The governor was a heaven stage warrior, and much older than Wu Xingyun and Old Han. They could be considered old on Earth, but their age was practically negligible when seen from the scope of the whole universe. Their lifespans would increase once the planetary stage was reached. 100 years of age was just a starting point for them. Zhuang Wei's treated them politely because of Wang Teng. Mind you, he was a heaven stage martial warrior. He treated them with respect since they were from the hero's birthplace. "Look at us. We're a little impatient because we haven't seen him in a while," Old Han replied with a smile. "I understand." The governor smiled. "You're Wang Ting's elder and had the chance to watch him grow. Of course you'd be excited after knowing of his achievements in the League of Talents. You're too polite. We're not his elders, we just came from the same planet and feel proud of everything he has achieved," Old Han said. "That's right. I didn't expect such talent to emerge from our planet. We feel proud of him, Wu Xingyun added. Wang Ting's status was now entirely different. None of them dared to act arrogantly, especially when in front of outsiders, as they could unknowingly cause trouble for the hero. How enviable. Indeed, your planet is special. Not only did it groom a peerless genius like Earl Wang, all of you are talented. Your abilities rose fairly quickly. Zhuang Wei's smiled as he gave everyone a meaningful glance. You're too kind. Our abilities and talents are insignificant in the overall scope of the universe, Wu Xingyun replied humbly. He was a little stunned. They had already been extremely careful, hiding their true abilities well. They had gone through many experiences and started their journey with humble beginnings. Naturally, they understood the importance of hiding their strength. Still, they couldn't escape the eyes of a heaven stage warrior, no matter how they hid. The governor replied with a smile. He didn't mean any harm, and was only being emotional because he saw how they slowly became more powerful. He too approved of their cautious attitude. Who knows? Many formidable warriors could emerge from amongst that bunch of earthlings. They would have more room to grow if the newly appointed Earl supported them. They weren't like some of the warriors hailing from underdeveloped planets and had no background, who would find it extremely difficult to step into the universe and possibly even die without knowing what happened. Chapter 1607 Return to Planet Yumming. 2. Someone right by the experts shouted all of a sudden, Hez here. Zhuang Wei's was surprised. Then, he turned serious and raised his head to look at the sky. A gigantic universe spacecraft entered planet Yumming's atmosphere, traveling fast and growing bigger in everyone's eyes. The craft only took a few breaths to hover right above them and gradually land on the dock. Gasp! An Eternal-level spacecraft from the military. Several exclamations were heard non-stop. All the vessels of the military had a special symbol. Their models could be found easily online. Eternal rank ships were rare, but there were records with their specs and styles. This made them easily recognizable. The incoming ship was enormous. Even though it was a few hundred meters in length, it was considered among the small-sized category. The governor looked bewildered. Even at his level, he had only seen this kind of ship a few times. To think that the military would use such a high-class spacecraft to send Earl Wang Ting back. This was proof that they held the young hero in high regard. Actually, the planet's overseer had his own guesses when he heard that the Empire had conferred Wang Ting the title of Earl. However, he didn't know that the Empire valued the hero this much. However, it wasn't the moment to think about this. He quickly led his men forward. The cabin door was gradually opened and a bunch of soldiers alighted. They were extremely cautious as they quickly spread out, watching their surroundings with vigilance. Most of them were at the celestial stage. There were even some that were of cosmos stage cultivation. Zhuang Wei's and the others were stunned by the arrangement. A tinge of astonishment flashed past their eyes. Then, they saw a young man walking down the vessel, encircled by a few figures protecting him. They were in military attire and had powerful auras. One look was enough to tell they were beyond the cosmos stage. One of them in particular. Even the governor felt the pressure from that expert. Universe stage. Zhuang Wei's was flabbergasted. The military sent a universe stage warrior to protect Earl Wang. What kind of treatment is this? He took a deep breath to calm down before striding forward to welcome the youth. Earl Wang. The governor bowed with respect, not daring to be negligent about it. Governor Zhuang. Wang Ting nodded calmly when he saw them. Earl Wang, welcome back, said the former with a smile. You're too polite. Why make all this fuss? Others might think that some important character is here, the hero teased. You're the overlord of our Yulon galaxy. It's our job to welcome you back. It would stand as a dereliction of duty if we didn't, Zhuang Wei's replied hurriedly. The young hero smiled. The governor had become even more respectful and careful than before. It seemed that his new noble status had caused many changes. He exchanged some pleasantries with him before noticing Wu Xingyun and the others. He smiled and said, It's been a while since we last met. Wu Xingyun, Old Han, and the others had gradually stepped into the greater universe, so they understood how noble and mighty Wang Ting's status was. None of them dared to be as friendly as before. They thought they had many things to say to him at first. But they didn't know where to begin when they saw him. The hero noticed their expressions and smiled. "This isn't the place to talk. Let's chat when we get home." "Right, let's head back first," Zhuang Wei's agreed. The immense group exited the space dock with great fanfare and headed to Wang Teng's manor. The soldier detachment stayed closely behind him, scanning their surroundings with zeal. The hero reached his home after some time passed. Wang Teng turned to address the universe stage warrior who had been protecting him in silence a few steps behind. "General Wei, thank you for escorting me home. I have arranged your lodging so you can stay here temporarily. I'll head to the academy once I'm done with some personal matters." That was the person the military had appointed for his protection. "All right. Call me if you need anything." General Wei nodded and followed the servant to his chamber. The soldiers scattered across the manor, protecting the inner perimeter. Zhuang Wei's and the others were even more astounded by such deployment. "Earl Wang, we'll take our leave now." After making all the necessary arrangements, the governor prepared to leave with his men. He knew that his young superior had many things to say to Wu Xingyun and the elders. "All right, I will look for you in a while regarding territorial matters," said Wang Teng with a nod. "Yes." Zhuang Wei's was quick to reply. "Oh right, we have prepared a welcoming banquet for this evening. Do you think you're too polite?" The hero smiled and pointed his finger at them. He was in a dilemma, but after seeing their looks of anticipation, he conceded. "Okay, I'll be there." Those people were the family heads of Planet Yumming's elite families. Their power stretched far and wide and they were still useful to the young hero. He didn't mind accepting their kind favor and flattery. Sometimes, accepting your subordinates' kind gestures was a way to get close to them and make them feel at ease. Their imaginations could run wild if you didn't give them a chance to curry favor with you. "Well, await your presence." Zhuang Wei's heaved a sigh of relief and left with his retinue. Once they left, Wang Teng was finally able to speak with Wu Xingyun and the rest. "Don't you recognize me? Why aren't you talking?" He smiled. "You've changed a lot. We don't dare talk to you anymore." Old Han sighed. "No matter how much I change, I'm still me." The hero smiled. "We are a family. There's no need for any distance between us." "Oh right, where's Lin Chuhan and Dan Taixian? I don't see them." Wu Xingyun replied, "Lin Chuhan joined a mercenary team and is on a mission right now. Dan Taixian went out to explore the universe. I don't know where she is at the moment." Wang Teng nodded. He left a clone with Lin Chuhan but it was dormant. It would only be activated if she met any danger. Hence, he couldn't sense where she was, or what she was going through. As for Dan Taixian, he wasn't worried. She was a warrior who had gone through the toughest times on Earth. She was anything but ordinary. The group warmed up after chatting for some time, finding their sense of familiarity again. Everyone laughed and talked happily. "I didn't expect you to take the top position in the League of Talents. Earth has just entered the vast universe network and we already have a genius like you. This is incredible. It feels like a dream." Commander Hong felt emotional. "That's right. We thought that getting one of the top 1,000 positions would be good enough, but you defeated everyone and got first place. What's more, you entered the star rankings too. We underestimated your talent." Wu Xingyun shook his head. "Ha ha ha, I knew that he was different when I met him in Donghai. He dared to face the windstorm giant ape even though he was much weaker." Old Han laughed, feeling that he had great foresight. Hong Tianxia, Commander Hong's full name, exposed him. "Come on, I heard that you got beaten up badly when you fought with the windstorm giant ape. You didn't have the time to look at Wang Ting. F***K, stop framing me. I almost lost my life for the sake of Donghai. Who spread the rumor?" Old Han was furious. Everyone burst out laughing. "Wang Teng, given your achievements, the people on Earth will have an easier time in the greater universe," Wu Xingyun said seriously. "Let me thank you on their behalf." He bowed at the hero after he finished speaking. "There's no need for this." Wang Teng hurriedly helped him up and looked him in the eye. He said in earnest, "You don't have to thank me. I'm an earthling, too. I hope the earth will continue to rise. Don't treat me like an outsider." Chapter 1608 Arrangement 1. Wang Ting chatted with his elders for a long time, getting a better grasp of their current conditions. At the same time, he understood the current cultivation progress of all the people on Earth. Wu Xingyun said, "Don't worry. We sent a few more batches of talents into the universe after you left. They're making good progress. I'm sure they can advance to the planetary stage sometime soon. As for the older generations, most of them reached the planetary stage. We have enough manpower now. Using our own people is still the safest." The hero nodded. "That's right." The elders also nodded in agreement. None of them was Wang Ting. Their gifted junior had status, identity, ability, and talent. He could suppress others, but they couldn't. Have them tackle a celestial warrior and they could have trouble controlling him. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much. Only the warriors born on Earth would share the same vision and heart as them, so they could have an easier time completing tasks. The younger generations are growing up well, right? How many of them have attained the planetary stage?" the hero asked. "Ji Xiuming, Han Zhu, and some of them have already crossed this threshold. There are 12 in total," Wu Xingyun replied. "Not bad. They are as talented as the warriors in the greater universe. They just need some time to mature," said the hero with a smile. "Really?" Hong Tianxi's eyes lit up. "Of course. I've fought with them already. I know better than anyone." Commander Yong, who had been quiet all this while, said, "That's great. This means that the only difference between our talents and the ones out there is the resources available. We have the chance to catch up with them." The bigwig's full name was Yong Liangong, while Commander Long's full name was Long Changkong, and Old Han's was Han Ping. They started using their real names when they started interacting with others in the Great Expanse. "Speaking of resources, I have an idea," Wang Ting said. "Oh!" The eyes of the martial warriors lit up. They quickly asked, "What idea is that?" "We have many masters of alchemy, blacksmithing, runes, and force chefs, right?" The hero smiled. "Do you mean?" Han Ping caught the gist of it. "There's a huge and powerful faction in the universe called the Secondary Career Alliance. Have you heard of it?" the young earl asked. Wu Xingyun replied after some hesitation, "I did hear about it when I was outside completing my mission. However, I don't know much as I didn't pay much mind." The hero explained in detail, the Secondary Career Alliance is an organization with affiliates from all secondary careers. That is how they protect their interests. They are actually among the greatest factions in the universe. They exist in all parts of the universe and are as famous as the Universe Bank and the Mercenaries Alliance. "I see. I didn't think such an organization would be as massive and powerful." Han Ping was surprised. "Are you thinking about our people who excel in those careers to join that faction?" Wu Xingyun and the others guessed Wang Ting's plan. "That's right. You should know how profitable secondary careers are. They will be more valued in the universe," said the hero. "This is a good way to solve our resource problem. However, it's not easy to join them, right?" Wu Xingyun had his doubts. "That's right. I heard that it's difficult to join. You have to pass various tests. There's still a huge gap between our people and those in the rest of the universe. They may not be able to pass," Long Changkong said. "Don't worry about that. I've already joined and am a 3-field grandmaster. I've befriended many grandmasters. Getting our people inside shouldn't be an issue," Wang Teng replied. "What? You're already a member?" Han Ping and the others were shocked. "That's right. I needed some external help when I first reached the Great Qian Empire, so I joined the Secondary Career Alliance back then." "That's great. This will make things easier for us," Yong Liangong said excitedly. Hong Tianxia suddenly exclaimed, "Wait, did you say that you're a 3-field grandmaster? Did I hear it wrong?" "You're not wrong. I'm indeed a 3-field grandmaster." The hero nodded. "How else could I build a strong network in a short period of time? Many look forward to befriending me because of my identity." Gasp. There was a collective intake of air. All of them stared at the young hero as if he were a ghost. There was only one thought in their minds at the moment. How does this guy cultivate? His martial arts improved at lightning speed, allowing him to get first place in the League of Talents. That alone required much of his time and effort. And yet, he still had time and energy to improve his secondary skills and attain the Grandmaster stage for all of them. This was madness. They knew that Wang Ting had practiced alchemy, blacksmithing, and rune inscriptions in the past. His proficiency was at master level. However, the Grandmaster level was entirely different. Such a jump couldn't be achieved in just a day or two. Chapter 1609 Arrangement 2. Wang Ting had managed to become a Grandmaster for all 3 subdisciplines in a short time. It was unbelievable. Back when he built the teleportation array, he finished the task along with a group of rune masters, so they didn't know he had already become a Grandmaster. However, they knew that the hero wouldn't lie to them. There was no point. It had to be true. For a moment, no one knew what to say. They were in a daze. Han Ping gave a long sigh after some time and exclaimed, "You're quite remarkable. No wonder you dared to promise that our people could enter the secondary career alliance. It will truly be easier with your connections," Wu Xingyun said with a shimmering gaze. "I will contact the alliance. You can go ahead and ask the prospects amongst our people to visit planet Yuming soon," Wang Ting said. "Yes." Wu Xingyun nodded. "As for the difference between the Earth and the greater universe, we can get our people to finish a few simple missions first and learn along the way. This will help them to grow faster and better integrate into the secondary career alliance," the hero said after some thought. "This is a good idea. I think they'll be delighted to have such an opportunity," Wu Xingyun said. After handling some details, Wang Ting looked at Han Ping again and said, "My Dan mastery has reached the Grandmaster level, so I can help you to solve your hidden health risks." The expert had been through too many battles on Earth. Due to Earth's medical technology limitations in the past, he left many hidden injuries untreated, which greatly shortened his lifespan. He almost died during the sea beasts riot. Wang Ting managed to save him in time, but there were still leftover health issues. Based on the hero's estimates, he could help the senior once he attained the Grandmaster level. Since this was already achieved, it was time to properly lend a hand. "Really?" Han Ping's eyes lit up. He was at the planetary stage and his lifespan was elongated, but sequelae remained, affecting his cultivation greatly. He could feel their effects all the time. His body would hurt whenever he cultivated, making progress was extremely difficult. Taking the health issues out of the way, his cultivation speed would be much faster and his potential would also be higher. The celestial stage would be his limit if things didn't change. "Of course." Wang Ting nodded. "I'll refine a pill after I've completed all the pressing matters." Good. Good. Han Ping was excited. The man thought that his life would remain the same, yet he managed to advance to the planetary stage. Now, even his health risks could be cured. This equated to having greater heights to aspire to. All this was made possible because of Wang Ting. "Wang Ting, I don't know how to thank you." The expert stuttered a little. "It's nothing. Don't mention it," the hero replied. "It might be nothing to you, but you're giving me a new lease on life," the expert said in earnest. "All right, this is a good thing. You should be happy." Hong Tianxia laughed. "Yes, this is a happy occasion." Han Ping nodded fervently. Wang Ting took a sip of his tea and changed the topic. "Oh right, did you notice anything abnormal about the martial warriors from other countries?" "Nope. They know they can only rely on you, so they have been obedient. What's more, you're now an earl of the Great Qian Empire. The people on Earth know this. No one would dare have any other thoughts. 2 days ago, they reached out to us and said they wanted to have a chat with you when you returned," Wu Xingyun replied with a smile. "That's good. We were all born on Earth, so we should cooperate and help each other," the hero replied calmly. Wu Xingyun and the others were startled. The new earl's tone was calm, but they knew he would be ruthless if anyone dared to play tricks. Even they felt oppressed by the young hero's aura at the moment. All of them knew it was a gravitas compounded with his status and position. Wang Teng was the overlord of multiple galaxies. He held the fate of countless people in his hands. After a long chat, Wu Xingyun, Han Ping, and the others finally left the manor with smiles on their faces. They went to settle their own matters. Being among the Earth's leaders, they had many things to oversee. Their young overlord had brought back many benefits after his status rose. It was natural that the number of tasks to handle had increased. Fortunately, all those things were beneficial to their planet, so they happily got busy. Once the elders left, Wu Xingyun sighed and rubbed his forehead. He felt a little tired. He would rather cultivate, instead taking care of those activities. Troublesome. At night, a lively banquet was in full swing at the Zhuang family manor. As soon as the higher-ups on planet Yumming and representatives from the elite families heard about the occasion, they all clamored to get an invitation from Zhuang Wei's. Everyone knew that Wang Ting's status had risen. He was now an Earl of the Empire. Besides that, they also valued his extraordinary potential. The hero's performance during the League of Talents was known to everyone. Everyone felt that the young Earl had a bright future. If they didn't befriend him now, when would they get another chance? The banquet was extremely lively. Everyone was engaging in conversations and beautiful servants shuttled back and forth amongst the crowd, serving delicious wine and delicacies to the visitors. This didn't draw the guests' attention. Everyone was craning their necks, being attentive to the entrance. Even the host, Zhuang Wei's, had his eyes glued to the main door, anticipating the appearance of that figure. "Father, it's rare to see you this anxious," said a young lady of around 17 years of age. She covered her mouth and chuckled. "What do you know? Our Earl is not an ordinary warrior," the host replied angrily. "I got sick of hearing his achievements non-stop in the past few days." His daughter rolled her eyes. "Then you should know how amazing his potential is." Zhuang Wei's glanced around him and whispered, "Look at the people around you. All of them are like wolves who caught the scent of meat. How aggressive is their stance to get close to the hero? Your analogy is on point." The young lady looked around and smiled. "You need to understand my effort. I brought you out so you can grab this opportunity," said the host, trying his best to persuade the young lady. He didn't have his daughter attend the previous event because Wang Teng was just a baron. His position wasn't stable at the time, and his future was uncertain. Things were different now. The young fellow had risen in noble status and entered the Stargot onto the star rankings. Not even the Parkers could do anything to him now. The young lady shook her head. "No, I have someone I like." "Why are you so stubborn? Your mother spoiled you." Zhuang Wei's felt helpless. He glanced at the young lady and continued, "You kept saying that you have someone you like but you never tell me who it is. How do I know if you're lying?" "Never mind, let's not talk about this now. I don't care if you like someone else. Since you're here, try to interact with Wang Teng. How can any other man be compared to him?" The young lady wasn't convinced. "I came because my mom asked me to. I'll leave once I've seen him. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't begged my mom to ask me to come." "You little rascal." The host was infuriated. He expected better from her. The chance was right in front of her, but she didn't know how to treasure it. Earl Wang Ting had a fiancé, but he was an earl. He wouldn't settle with just one woman. Being also a man, he knew how his kind were. The young lady wasn't afraid of her father. She stuck out her tongue and drank her cup of fruit juice nonchalantly. She didn't care about the banquet, at all. A voice announced by the entrance, "Earl Wang Ting has arrived." The entire hall went quiet. Then, everyone immediately turned to look and saw a young man with black hair striding confidently with his head up high. Chapter 16:10. I'm speechless, thanks. The entire hall was brightly lit. A figure walked into the hall under everyone's gazes. He immediately became the center of attention. Zhuang Wei's was surprised. He quickly straightened his attire and went to greet the hero along with his daughter. "Earl Wang." His attitude was respectful. "Governor Zhuang." The young overlord glanced at the young girl accompanying the official. He then looked back at the host and smiled. "It's quite lively. Everyone is here to greet you," said the man, offering a slight bow. Good work, the hero patted his shoulder. The planet's overseer was definitely more deferential than before. The contrast was massive. The fellow was flattered. He then introduced the young girl next to him. This is my daughter, Zhuang Caishuan. She has heard a lot about your exploits and admires you very much. I took the liberty to bring her to meet you. The girl rolled her eyes after hearing her father. The young hero glanced at her and felt a little odd when he clearly caught her reaction. Her attitude reflected the complete opposite of what the governor said. As for the admiration part, he didn't believe it at all. Most people in the hall had shown up with beautiful girls in tow. All of them looked over towards him. The young earl could smell their intentions better than anyone. He had experienced such encounters more than once. Sometimes he couldn't help being so handsome and outstanding. However, he didn't expose the governor's intentions and merely smiled. He then reached out for the young girl's hand. Nice to meet you. Zhuang Caishuan looked at the handsome, confident, and smiling hero. She unconsciously avoided eye contact and offered her hand. Earl Wang, nice to meet you. Their hands parted as soon as they touched. Earl Wang, you didn't bring a companion tonight. Why don't you let my daughter keep you company then? Zhuang Wei's smiled. If Miss Zhuang doesn't mind, the young hero replied. You can just call me by my name. She approached the latter and held onto his arm. Everyone who saw this was cursing the governor for his shamelessness. They were beaten to the punch. Earl Wang, please. The host ushered them into the hall. Wang Teng nodded and walked together with Zhuang Caishuan. Those present regained their composure and greeted their overlord. Earl Wang. Earl Wang. One by one, they greeted and toasted the hero. Earl Wang, everyone has prepared gifts to congratulate you for winning first place and being inducted to the star rankings, Zhuang Wei said. Oh! The young hero was taken aback. Gifts. He loved this. However, he kept a poker face and said gracefully, so nice of all of you. Your presence is enough. There's no need for gifts. I can't accept this. You have to. The governor smiled. You are about to enter one of the 7 stellar academies and will be pressed to consume a lot of resources. This is why I've prepared 30 billion universe coins for you. He then took out a bank card and offered it with both hands. 30 billion. Wang Teng was startled. It wasn't a small sum for families of their status. Even Zhuang Caishuan widened her eyes as she stared at her father in disbelief. He just gave 30 billion like that. She was knowledgeable in regards to her family's finances. They did have many businesses on planet Yumming, but most of them didn't have much liquidity. Their yearly expenses weren't small, either. 30 billion UC would definitely make them feel the pinch. Does he have to sacrifice this much to befriend this earl? The governor's daughter wasn't ignorant, she was just having trouble accepting this. Her expression looked troubled, since she understood what the young earl's background implied. You have to accept this. This is a token of my appreciation, said the governor in a hurry, noticing the young noble hesitate. Wang Teng pondered only for a moment. The amount wasn't much for him. He would have given it further thought if it were too much. After all, favors weren't that easy to return. Once the governor started, the rest followed, approaching their overlord with gifts. Everyone handed out money, roughly pooling 10 billion. When adding all that by the dozens, it was a considerable amount of money. Zhuang Caishuan was flabbergasted. Wang Teng's income in one night was almost her entire family's fortune. The young hero was elated due to such windfall. Being an overlord, receiving some bribes was commonplace. He now had 6 territories. It would be great if he could visit each galaxy and collect. Alas, there was no time. Wang Teng sighed. Suddenly, a soft voice was heard close to him. Earl Wang, you've earned a lot today. His ears were tickled by the fragrant and warm air. It's still okay, he replied. He took his seat and sipped some wine. He didn't take the initiative, nor did he refuse the gifts. Zhuang Caishuan. Earl Wang sure likes to talk big. However, he looked extremely calm, as if he didn't care about the money in the slightest. That's several billions of universe coins. Zhuang Caishuan was exasperated by his attitude. It would be great if the gifts were hers. She dreamt of starting her own company ever since she was a child and made a lot of preparations for this, studying various ways of how to run them. On top of that, she had also opened a small company in secret, making good profits. If she had that money, she was certain it would help her build something even stronger than what her Zhuang family had. However, her family didn't believe in her, including her own father. Running a small company was different from running a giant corporation. They said that she was too naive. Without protection, any company could be swallowed up. The girl glanced at the young earl discreetly. If she could get his help, wouldn't everything be much easier? She tried her luck. The Empire probably gave you a lot of rewards. The hero glanced back at her and smiled. If it's about universe coins, I did get a few trillion. Zhuang Caishuan didn't know what to say. Her mind was abuzz as the few trillion answer kept echoing in her head. She was amazed. Goodness. The girl remained in a trance, all the way until the banquet was over. The governor sent their overlord off and looked at his daughter. I'm afraid Earl Wang doesn't really care about the money, but he still accepted it. This means that he's still willing to accept us. Our roots are here and we'll need to hold on to his leg. Our family can rise higher with his protection. He really doesn't care. Zhuang Caishuan felt conflicted. Father, do you know how much money the Empire gave him as a reward? How much? Zhuang Wei's asked. It should be at least a few 100 billion. But that's not the point. The point is that he has 6 territories. That's a constant source of income. A few 100 billion? The girl looked at him oddly. Why are you looking at me like that? The governor frowned. The Empire gave him a few trillion as part of his awards, Zhuang Caishuan replied. Earl Wang said so himself. A few trillion. Zhuang Wei's face froze. Are you sure you heard correctly? Father, do you think there's something wrong with my ears? She rolled her eyes. No, it's just too shocking. The man felt troubled. The Empire's regard for Wang Ting is beyond our wildest imagination. I should have thought about this. After all, he even became an earl. He wouldn't have just received a trifling amount of coin. But we're talking about trillions. Why would the Empire give him so much? Zhuang Caishuan couldn't wrap her head around the idea. Maybe it's because of the star rankings. Zhuang Wei shook his head, then suddenly thought of a possibility. I'm afraid Earl Wang told you that on purpose. On purpose? The girl was perplexed. You don't mean he's trying to use this to woo me? You think too much, her father interjected mercilessly. Given his status, do you think he would need to do that for someone from a small family? Father, am I adopted? The girl's face turned red as she stomped her foot. Ha ha ha, just helping you to keep your feet on the ground. Earl Wang is not someone you can handle. Her father laughed. All right. I know his status is different. You don't have to remind me again. Zhuang Caishuan rolled her eyes and asked, then, why would he do that? The message was for me, said the governor with a glint in his eyes. A message for you. The girl wasn't stupid, immediately making guesses about the situation. That's right. Zhuang Wei's nodded. He's telling me that he accepted my gift, but he doesn't treat this money too seriously. That's going too far. He took the money just to send a message? The girl was unhappy. No, this is actually good. It was a subtle reminder, no one was embarrassed with this method. The governor shook his head and smiled. Besides, he only said this to you and not to the others. Do you know what this means? This means, he accepts us, the girl murmured. That's right. The man nodded and smiled in return. Looks like my daughter is smarter than the rest. This doesn't feel like a compliment. Zhuang Caishuan rolled her eyes again. Little Xian, I hope you can find chances to interact more with Earl Wang. It'll benefit you later, Zhuang Wei said. Got it. The girl waved her hand impatiently, running away to prevent her father from prattling on. This girl. Zhuang Wei shook his head helplessly. He couldn't have his way with Zhuang Caishuan. Chapter 16:11 Watch it. We're outside. 1. Virtual Universe, Secondary Career Alliance. Wang Teng entered the virtual universe shortly after his return from the banquet. He met up with some of the grandmasters from the organization. The meeting room was spacious, with luxurious furnishings. Even if it was the virtual universe, such a place would require many virtual UC to create. Fortunately, the Secondary Career Alliance was rich, they didn't mind the spending. Grandmasters Alfred, Hua Yuan, Moda, and the others were delighted by the hero contacting them. Grandmaster Wang Teng, we watched the League of Talents. We almost couldn't believe that the young man on the screen was you. Grandmaster Alfred exclaimed while looking at the young hero, visibly shaken. That's right. We didn't know that your martial arts potential was even more exaggerated than your secondary career's talents, Grandmaster Hua Yuan lamented. Please, enough with the praise. I've heard too much of it these days. Wang Ting waved his hands helplessly. The grandmasters were stunned for a moment. Then, they burst out laughing. None of them expected such a reaction. Anyone else would have publicized to high heaven if they were able to achieve such result. Friends, I came to find you because I have a favor to ask. Wang Ting told them about the issue on Earth. The grandmasters were enlightened. They smiled and said, you could have just sent a message. There's no need to find us personally for this. Thank you, Wang Ting felt truly grateful. You're one of our own, there's no need to be so polite. Besides, we're happy to welcome new blood in our Secondary Career Alliance, replied Grandmaster Hua Yuan with a smile. That's right. How many master-level people do you have? Grandmaster Alfred asked. We have 135 in total. Alchemists, rune masters, blacksmiths and force chefs, Wang Teng replied. Wu Xingyun and the rest of the elders compiled the stats for him. The compilation took some time, that was why he only reached out to those experts until the evening of that day. 135? That's quite a lot. Grandmaster Alfred and the others were surprised. Finding such an amount in an underdeveloped planet is quite unusual, said Grandmaster Hua Yuan. This means that my planet is full of talents, Wang Ting smiled. Your planet is indeed different. After all, it gave birth to you, Alfred replied with a smile. The grandmasters laughed and exchanged a few more pleasantries before the hero passed the information about Earth's different masters. Having them enter the Secondary Career Alliance would be a breeze with them as guarantors. This matter was basically settled. Oh right, Grandmaster Hua Yuan, do you know of any Grandmaster-level Dan medicine that is good for healing a person's hidden health risks? Wang Teng asked. Hidden health risks? Grandmaster Hua Yuan looked at the hero with concern. Are you injured? Not me. I have an elder back on Earth who got heavily injured in the past. Our medical standards aren't high enough to deal with sequelae, so he still has unresolved issues. I want to help him recover so that it doesn't affect his future cultivation, explained the hero. I see. The elder sighed, feeling relieved. After some pondering, he replied, I do know a few pills that could work. The best one is the 1000 grass elixir. It's a 7th level Grandmaster pill which requires more than 1,000 herbs to make. Consuming it can repair and nourish the body while also addressing any old injuries. He paused for a second. Oh right, what's your elder's cultivation? Only the planetary stage, Wang Teng replied. That's enough. Senior Hua Yuan smiled. The 1000 grass elixir should be enough to heal him completely. It will also bring him lots of benefits. I will make this pill then, said the hero right away. He would probably be capable of refining a Grandmaster 7th level pill after collecting a few more attributes. Since he was going to do it, he would aim to make the best one. It wouldn't make much of a difference to him anyway. You can buy the prescription and the spiritual herbs in our alliance. Although it requires more than 1,000 spiritual herbs, they're not hard to find. The alliance's chapter in your region should have them, Grandmaster Hua Yuan said. That's great. Thank you, Wang Ting said gratefully. You're too polite. Grandmaster Hua Yuan smiled. It's been a while since you've made pills. Alas, we're in the Great Qian Empire so we can't go there. Grandmaster Wang Ting, if you make any extra pills, would you mind selling them to us? The effects will surely be amazing, Grandmaster Harrell asked with a smile. What do you mean by selling them to you? If there's any, I will definitely give you some, Wang Ting was quick to reply. No way. How could we take your things for free? Those would be Grandmaster 7th level pills. Harrel shook her head. Please don't decline. You'll be helping me a lot by making arrangements for my planet's masters, the hero replied. He was fully aware of the give and take needed for human relationships. Only taking without giving would not work for long-lasting bonds. Since the Grandmasters were interested in his pills, he didn't mind giving them some. They chatted for a while longer before bidding farewell. Chapter 16:12 Watch It, were outside. 2. Wang Teng didn't leave the virtual universe, choosing to pay the Secondary Career Alliance a visit and find the prescription for the 1000 grass elixir first. Back in a bedroom in his manor, the hero gradually opened his eyes. He mentally reviewed the prescription and its introduction before nodding to himself. He had already collected the relevant herbs from the Alliance. They would be sent to him the next day. All he needed to do was wait. Round ball, tell me when the herbs arrive immediately, the hero requested. All right. The little helper showed up and nodded. Then, it smiled and said, the Grandmasters treat you very well. They actually agreed to help without any hesitation. They also helped me a lot in the past. I am obliged to accept this kind gesture. He then sat down cross-legged on the bed and started cultivating. His gains from the competition were many, so he needed some time to digest them properly. Round ball smiled again and disappeared. The following morning, Wang Teng ended his cultivation session and walked out of the room. He received a message as soon as he was done with breakfast. Wang Teng, your spiritual herbs are here, said the little helper in his mind. Okay. The hero nodded and walked to the manor's garage. He grabbed a luxurious force-flying car and headed towards the Secondary Career Alliance's chapter on planet Yumming. Governor Zhuang Wei's had given him a few vehicles along with the manor. They were the newest models of different styles and brands. Just the rune cars alone were quite expensive. The young overlord had to admit that the governor had a keen attention to detail. It was awfully convenient to have such an underling. Those pricey cars were amazing to others, yet the hero saw them as ordinary modes of transportation. The instant the flying vehicle flew out of the manor, an equally luxurious, pink-colored car hovered right beside it. The car window was lowered, revealing a pretty face. Earl Wang, are you going out? Zhuang Caishuan. The hero was stunned. He asked back instead, are you looking for me? Yes. My father thinks you would have a hard time finding your way on planet Yumming, so he sent me to act as your guide, she replied, her expression revealing helplessness. Well, it's quite thoughtful of him. The hero smiled. So, Earl Wang, where are you headed? Why don't I lead the way? The young girl said. Sure. He nodded, not declining the offer. Hold on, I'll park my car and ride in yours, Zhuang Caishuan said. She did as planned and climbed on the hero's vehicle. You can go ahead and drive. Wang Ting scooted to the other seat, leaving the driver's seat to her. You're making me drive for you. The girl pouted. She unwillingly complied and started the engine. Why not? It's free labor. Wang Ting smiled. Let's go to the Secondary Career Alliance. The Secondary Career Alliance. The answer stunned her. She led the vehicle to the skies and asked, why are you going there? Do you want to purchase weapons or pills? My family has a decent stock. You can ask father if you need anything. Wang Ting glanced at her. I'm going to make pills. Make pills? The girl was taken aback. You're an alchemist? Yes. He nodded. I didn't know you were an alchemist. Zhuang Caishuan was amazed. Your father should know, he said. He never told me. The hero teased. Didn't your father say you knew many of my achievements? Looks like you haven't covered everything. She laughed awkwardly. Haha, I only know about your martial arts achievements. Wang Teng replied with a smile. He didn't believe what she was saying, but he didn't care. What pill are you planning on making? She asked. Would you understand even if I told you? He asked back. Nope. She stuck out her tongue and cursed the hero in silence for being so blunt. Doesn't he know how to chat properly? The conversation is too awkward. The Crafts Alliance wasn't far from Yumming City's central district. Wang Teng's manor was in the city's best district. The place was nearby. Thus, they quickly arrived at their destination. The flying car descended. The governor's daughter landed in the Alliance's car park. There was a huge plaza right in front of their destination. The pair walked through the plaza and entered the Alliance's lobby. The latter was spacious, packed with people. Some were staff members, while there were some experts and others who went there to post missions. Zhuang Caishuan sized up her surroundings curiously. She rarely visited the place. A middle-aged fellow was waiting by the entrance. His eyes lit up when he noticed the hero's arrival. He moved quickly to greet them. Grandmaster Wang Ting? Correct. Wang Ting nodded. Grandmaster. Zhuang Caishuan was stunned. She stared at the hero with eyes like saucers. I'm a manager of Planet Yuming's secondary career alliance branch. Grandmaster Hua Yuan from the main branch told us about your request, so we've been waiting for you, said the senior as an introduction. Chapter 16-13 Watch it, we're outside. 3. Thank you, Wang Teng thanked the representative. We have prepared the spiritual herbs you need and cleared an alchemy room. Please follow me. The middle-aged fellow raised a hand and led the way. The hero followed and entered the secondary career alliance. What are you waiting for? Come on. Oh. Zhuang Caishuan snapped out of her stupor and quickly followed. She whispered, Are you really a grandmaster? Don't I look like one? The young hero replied. Which part of you looks like one? She wanted to complain but she didn't say it aloud. She just rolled her eyes in secret. She recalled what she said to him with some embarrassment. Her family didn't have any grandmaster-level pills. They reached an empty alchemy room a short time later. The senior said, Here it is. Thank you. The hero nodded. I'll take my leave first. Call me anytime through the virtual network if you have any questions, said the representative. The young hero gave some reminders to the governor's daughter and then entered the room. Zhuang Caishuan blinked, then looked away once his young guest left. She was filled with curiosity and interest. Wang Ting is indeed different. Not only was he powerful, he was also a grandmaster alchemist. His talent was scary. She didn't doubt the hero's claims, given the middle-aged man's deference. Not everyone could receive such treatment. Many thoughts went through her mind. She sat on a chair next to the alchemy room's entrance and waited in silence. The hero saw a large box upon entering the room. He used his account's password to open it and found all the ingredients required to make the 1000-grass elixir inside. A thick fragrance wafted over. 3 sets of herbs. This should be enough to make some pills for Grandmaster Hua Yuan and the rest. Wang Ting nodded, feeling satisfied. He waved a hand and a black furnace emerged, landing above the exhaust port. The black meteorite furnace. It was his own go-to artifact for pill making. He sat cross-legged in front of it and released spiritual power while silently collecting the nearby attribute bubbles. Alchemy *60 Alchemy *80 Alchemy *50 The area was filled with alchemy rooms specially arranged for grandmasters. Hence, there were many bubbles to collect. Wang Teng's alchemy started to rise quickly as a result. Alchemy, 6500 10,000, Grandmaster, he previously had 5,000 or so points. Now, it was at 6,500, which was enough for him to make a Grandmaster 6th level pill. Furthermore, his alchemic level was high and was powered with a strong spirit. Adding his divine flames, making the elixir would be a walk in the park. He blinked, then quickly closed his eyes to recall the steps in the prescription. His eyes opened abruptly some time later. The soul of Thousand Beasts' flame came out of his body and burned under the furnace. The 1000-grass elixir required many herbs nourished by star beast blood. Since the flame originated from star beast souls, the latter was beneficial for the pill-making process. It was the best choice to heat up the furnace. The flame patterns on the black meteorite furnace were lighting up as if alive. The shapes were varied, sometimes a whirlpool while other times a dragon. The imaging seemed divine. Wang Teng wasn't paying attention to the visuals, though. His gaze remained calm as he waved a hand and pulled a few hundred herbs with spiritual power to send them to the furnace. There were more than 1,000 herbs, the time needed to refine them all would be considerable. However, his spirit was powerful, so he could refine a few hundred at a time. This would save him a lot of time. The bundle of herbs turned into a few hundred balls of flames, floating inside the artifact. Ashes kept floating down. Some time later, the refinement was completed. A few turned into liquid while others changed into powder form and floated inside the furnace. The young hero released spiritual power again and grabbed another batch to repeat the process. Time passed slowly. The entire refining process took 3 hours. Actually, he had already shortened the refining process by a large margin. It would have taken a whole day if it were another Grandmaster. Furthermore, succeeding the first time would be difficult to achieve. The young hero let out a long sigh. The refining process went smoothly. There was a small accident during the process, but this was solved. No ingredient was wasted. It was worth mentioning that he managed to produce all 3 sets of ingredients. Well, he just wanted to save time. Once everything was done, the hero closed his eyes and rested for a few minutes. Then, he opened them again and started combining the few thousand ingredients according to the sequence in the prescription. That was the toughest pill-making stage. The 1,000 grass elixir required many spiritual herbs, so the chances of accidents happening during this step increased greatly, too. Any mistake could equate to a complete failure. Wang Ting turned serious as he carefully combined elements, not daring to be careless in the slightest. Time flew. Zhuang Caishuan felt bored after waiting outside. She pouted, having thought at first that her visit to the Secondary Career Alliance would be interesting. However, she sat there and waited all day long. She really wanted to go in and watch how the young hero worked, but he told her to wait outside. Barging in was not something she would dare do. Furthermore, she knew alchemists detested having others watching them making pills. Her sole choice at the moment was to wait outside. "Caishuan," said a confused voice, somewhere by the corridor nearby. Zhuang Caishuan was confused for a second, but then felt surprised and elated when she noticed who it was. Sister Clara. The young girl ran to hug the lady, rubbing her face against her chest. Well, considering her height, she could only reach the other lady's chest. The latter, named Clara, was a tall and shapely woman. Her chest bulged when the young girl stuffed her face between them. "Watch it. We're outside," Clara whispered as she hurriedly glanced around. She didn't expect Zhuang Caishuan to act so boldly. Chapter 1614. Does he not like women? 1. There's no one here. Zhuang Caishuan pouted. However, she still glanced around to confirm this. Then, she secretly heaved a sigh of relief. "You little girl." Clara tapped her forehead. "Sister Clara, why are you here?" The governor's daughter stuck out her tongue. "I should be the one asking. You've never visited the Secondary Career Alliance before," Clara said. The former quickly went into detail as to how she was accompanying Wang Ting. "Earl Wang?" Clara was shocked, then her eyes lit up when she thought of a possibility. "He's a Grandmaster alchemist." The young lady knew about the young hero. It was hard not to know of the most outstanding talent in the League of Talents. However, she never expected the hero to have such a lofty supporting profession. He was too young to be a Grandmaster. However, based on talent alone, it was indeed possible. Besides, her friend had no reason to lie to her. "Sister Clara, why are you so excited? But before that, why did you come here?" Zhuang Caishuan was puzzled. "Were you looking for someone to make a pill for you?" The people paying visits to the Secondary Career Alliance either went there to have weapons forged, injuries tended, seek force chefs, or find alchemists for pill making. Clara going there to find an alchemist was highly coincidental at the moment. "Indeed, I came to look for someone to make a Grandmaster 6th level pill," the lady replied. "Unfortunately, none of the Grandmasters on planet Yumming Planet have the ability. Little Xian, this pill is very important to me. You must help me." She stared at Zhuang Caishuan with earnest eyes, while hugging her waist with one arm. She even pinched her gently. "Gosh, She was worried that others would see them a moment ago, but she's doing it herself now. The governor's daughter blushed a little and twisted her body awkwardly. Still, I don't know if he can make one of those pills. Besides, I've only met him 2 days ago, and the difference in our status is huge. I'm not sure how I should ask him. Clara knew she was making things difficult for the other, so she said, "How about this? You can make the introductions and I'll take over from there." "All right." Zhuang Caishuan hesitated but still nodded in the end. She couldn't turn the lady down after seeing the anticipation in her eyes. "Thank you, little Xian," Clara smiled. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion inside the alchemy room. The refinement was successful. Both girls were in shock. They quickly looked in the alchemy room's general direction. The dome protecting the secondary career alliance was gradually opened, revealing the outer sky conditions. Dark clouds had gathered above them. The air grew thick and heavy with their approach, building pressure with each passing moment. Which Grandmaster was able to make this pill? The people currently present were stunned by the scenery. The middle-aged man who welcomed the young hero was also seeing this. Wang Ting's extremely young face appeared in his mind for some reason. That was the youngest Grandmaster he had ever met. However, he remembered that the latter had merely entered the alchemy room for 1 day, so he quickly dismissed the thought. No matter how fast a Grandmaster was, making a Grandmaster 7th level pill in 1 day was basically impossible. Furthermore, it had to do with the extremely difficult 1000 grass elixir. Is this a Dan calamity? Zhuang Caishuan looked up at the sky in amazement. Have you not seen one before? Clara was startled. Only from afar. The former shook her head. It looks quite scary. Is the alchemist supposed to withstand the calamity lightning on their own? Some alchemists hire formidable warriors to help them resist the lightning on their stead. However, Wang Ting doesn't need this, he's too powerful anyway, Clara said. Zhuang Caishuan nodded in deep thought. Boom. Thunder rumbled and silver-white sparks of lightning slithered across the sky, akin to deadly pythons. Boom. A bolt of green light shot up to the sky. An invisible force was being radiated, along with a thick Dan fragrance wafting over. The smell is amazing. Clara was astounded. This is definitely a Grandmaster pill, of 5th level or higher. The other girl blinked, equally shocked. It seemed that the young Earl's pill mastery was indeed superior. She knew that Clara was more experienced. If the latter said it was a Grandmaster's 5th level pill or above, it had to be so. They exchanged glances before turning to look at the green beam of light. Multiple green-lit orbs rose within the light beam. They were more than a dozen green-colored pills, round and lush. They twirled and frolicked in light as they soared. That many. Clara widened her eyes in astonishment. She had never seen anyone make so many pills in one go, not even those at Grandmaster level. Furthermore, the pill's fragrance alone was enough to tell they weren't ordinary. It attested to their high level. Chapter 16:15. Does he not like women? 2. Boom. A thick lightning bolt fell from above, ready to blast the pills. The blinding flash looked as if a dragon were about to engulf the dance. At the same time, the bolt struck the green pillar of light. However, the latter light released a concentrated burst of force, which resisted the attack. Boom. A second lightning fell, sending sparks flying all over. It was much more horrifying than the first one. Boom. A third followed tightly behind, leaving no time for people to react. The pillar of light produced by the pill refinement started to shake. It would probably be incapable of resisting for much longer. That light protection seems to be nearing its limit. Zhuang Caishuan tilted her head and looked at the incoming lightning with a serious expression. She didn't know much about the process, but she could still feel the ominous might of the tribulation. A Cosmos stage expert wasn't capable of withstanding such a move. It should hold off to receive another lightning strike. Clara frowned. I just don't know the pill's grade, he refined. The only thing I know is that the attacks become more dangerous. Earl Wang is a celestial warrior. Can he handle such calamity? The governor's daughter was concerned. It's hard to say. But he didn't ask for support. That means he's confident. Clara's eyes flashed. The young hero looked up at the clouds with a calm expression. He had made many Grandmaster-level pills before, and was familiar with calamities. He could also tell how many bolts would fall depending on the light pillar's intensity. The third one had barely fallen, and the pillar formed by the pills was enough to withstand a fourth bolt. It wasn't that he didn't want to deal with the blasts himself. The more lightning the pills endured, the more beneficial it would be for the end result. This tempering would bring out the latent medicinal effects and enable them to become Grandmaster 7th level pills. Boom! The fourth lightning struck. It was loud, like the might of the heavens. Its power was already several times stronger than the previous one. The entire defensive pillar was engulfed by lightning, forming a chain that wrapped itself around the column's surface and caused explosions non-stop. The pillar was shaking more violently. Earl Wang is really calm. He hasn't made a move yet, said Clara while clenching her fists. She then realized her palms were sweating. Zhuang Caishuan didn't say anything, only looking at the lightning in the sky. She was extremely worried. Boom! The fifth calamity lightning rushed down. The pillar seemed small in comparison. The onlookers' expressions changed. Right at that moment, a figure appeared in the sky and rushed to meet the ominous bolt. Boom! A massive golden fist blasted forth and clashed with the lightning. The horrifying bolt was stopped midair, unable to continue its descent. Lightning was shot from all directions, enveloping the figure. Many people below stopped in their tracks, bewildered by the scene. Boom! The sixth lightning fell and struck the figure with full force. The energy seemed to be connected to the clouds, as if linked to the skies. Boom! A terrifying blade slashed with a yellow-colored glow, destroying the lightning's momentum. The thick bolt was split in half, and slowly dissipated. Just as the blade glow was about to slice the clouds, a surge of lightning gathered once more, creating a seventh calamity bolt. That was the last attack, and the most terrifying. This was especially the case since the trial involved multiple 7th-level Grandmaster pills. It would obviously be much more powerful than the calamity of a single Dan. Lightning gathered and a dozen bolts darted from the dark clouds. They converged and blasted down to clash with the blade glow. Crack! A crisp sound was heard. Clara and Zhuang Caishuan's expressions changed. They saw the cracks forming on the yellow blade projection. It was about to shatter. Boom! Suddenly, there was another explosion, even louder than the calamity itself. It echoed throughout the skies. The two ladies were astounded. They looked towards the source of the sound. The lightning had actually converged in the person's hand, slowly forming an ancient battle spear. There was a strange fluctuation. The energy weapon seemed to belong in an ancient battlefield. Hes stealing the tribulation's power? Clara was horrified. Boom! Just as Clara finished speaking, the lightning spear had already been thrown. The weapon shot up into the sky with lightning power of its own, charging straight towards the source of the tribulation. Bang! At this time, the yellow blade projection gave out, shattering under the force. The spear continued on its path, clashing with the calamity. Boom! Explosions echoed in the sky while lightning blasted in all directions, filling the sky. The lightning gradually faded away. The final bolt was stopped halfway. The ominous clouds slowly parted and vanished after a while, as if they had never been there. Light shined down and everything was calm again. The light pillar also disappeared shortly after, letting the pill's fragrance waft to the surroundings. The aroma traveled a few kilometers with the secondary career alliance as the center. It smells so good. What is that pill? Many people looked at the alliance's territory in surprise. However, both the figure in the sky and the pills were gone. Many of the nearby alchemists wanted to have a look, but they couldn't see what the person looked like. They could only feel disappointed about it. It was an expert able to make Grandmaster 7th level pills. Meeting the person would be tremendously beneficial. Outside the alchemy room, Zhuang Caishuan and Clara immediately looked at the door. There was excitement in Clara's eyes. Grandmaster 7th level pills. 7 calamity lightning bolts. They were definitely Grandmaster 7th level pills. An alchemist able to make such pills would have no trouble making a pill of a lesser grade. The only problem was convincing him. The door opened and a figure walked out. He was taken aback when he saw the red-haired lady beside Zhuang Caishuan. Clara saw the young hero's appearance and was surprised. Earl Wang is even more outstanding than when I saw him in the live broadcast. Earl Wang, you succeeded in making the pills? The governor's daughter walked over right away. She had already seen the results, yet she couldn't help but ask again. Yes. The young hero nodded and looked at the other lady. She's my friend. We happened to meet just now, Zhuang Caishuan responded and made introductions. Let's go. Wang Ting nodded, not paying much attention to her. He didn't wait for his guide to keep talking, he walked straight towards the other end of the corridor. Zhuang Caishuan was stunned. Clara froze as well. This doesn't look right. Shouldn't he ask some questions after being introduced to someone? Besides, Clara was a mature and charming beauty. Any man would ask her a few questions upon meeting her. Still, the young earl acted like he didn't even see her. Does he not like women? Chapter 16 Old Hands Transformation. 1. Clara was unable to stay put and keep appearances. She shouted upon seeing the hero about to leave, Earl Wang, please wait. What's the matter? The young overlord didn't stop, he continued on his way to exit the Secondary Career Alliance's premises. Zhuang Caishuan rushed to catch up with him. Her friend ran a little to walk beside the hero. She said, Earl Wang, this might be a little presumptuous, he cut her short. Don't say it then. Clara. The governor's daughter at the young man, truly bewildered. Is he cold-hearted? Neither of the young girls knew what to say anymore. Once the hero reached the lobby, the middle-aged man who greeted him noticed his reappearance and his eyes lit up. Grandmaster Wang, are you done making your pill? Asked the fellow respectfully. Wang Ting nodded. A few jade bottles appeared in his hand, which flew toward the senior after a waving motion. These are for the other grandmasters. Please help me with delivering them to Grandmaster Alfred. Hes on planet Great Chen. He knows how they ought to be distributed. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded quickly. He was astounded. He scanned the bottles and saw 9 Grandmaster-level pills inside. Is Grandmaster Wang Ting going to give them away just like this? How generous. This gesture attested to the hero's close relationship with the Grandmasters from planet Great Chen. He remembered the expert's indications to entertain the young Earl well. This helped in confirming his guess. Clara saw their exchange. Her eyes almost popped out from shock. Those are 9 7th-level Grandmaster pills. How could he give them away so easily? If you think you have too many of them, you can give one to me, Clara screamed in her heart. She suddenly processed what she heard and was astounded. Wait. Did he say he's going to give them to the Grandmasters on planet Great Chen? Once the instructions were given, Wang Teng left the Secondary Career Alliance. He wasn't worried that the senior would pocket the pills for himself. If he did, all the Grandmasters would go after him. The Alliance would never allow such a thing to happen. The middle-aged fellow did his best to finish the task quickly, immediately leaving to send the pills through the Alliance's internal delivery system. Soon after, the pills were in the hands of the Grandmasters. At the Secondary Career Alliance parking area, Clara stopped Wang Teng. Miss Clara. The young hero looked at her. The woman felt somewhat at a loss. Wang Teng nodded and continued, Miss Clara, are we close? I know this is a little sudden, but please give me 1 minute to say something, Clara said in earnest. She bowed deeply to appease the hero. At the moment she was clad in a formal dress with a high slit and a deep V-neckline. Hence, her gesture made the deep cleavage stand out. Wang Teng was a frank person. Hence, he openly appreciated the view, he had no intention of looking away. She looked up, blushing upon seeing his frank appraisal. Then, she stood up straight, seemingly proud of herself. Stupid man, you were still lured by my beauty. Is your chest real? Wang Teng asked. Clara. This person is a little shameless. Zhuang Caishuan's face turned black. He was teasing her friend, which was infuriating. Earl Wang, in being serious, said Clara with a stern face, I need someone to help me make a Grandmaster 6th level pill, but there's no one here who is able to make it. You're the only one. You can try on other planets if you can't find someone here, Wang Teng replied calmly. The woman choked, feeling that the young Earl was impervious to persuasion. She couldn't do anything to him, though. Planet Yulon is the most prosperous one in the Yulon galaxy. If I can't find a suitable Grandmaster here, it would be the same on the rest. That's why I came looking for you. Zhuang Caishuan couldn't bear to see Clara humbling herself to plead for the Earl to help, so she said, Earl Wang, why don't you help Sister Clara? Don't worry, she'll give you fair compensation. That's right. Don't worry about the money. I can fulfill any request if you're willing to help me make this 6th level Grandmaster pill, Clara agreed. Any request? Wang Teng gave her an ambiguous smile. The young girl felt anxious upon seeing the young hero's gaze. Is he thinking of taking me as payment? Zhuang Caishuan wanted to help Clara yet her expression turned uglier when he heard Wang Teng's reply. This fellow pretends to be unmoved by ladies, but deep inside, his thoughts are filthy. You must never judge a book by its cover. Looks like you can't do it. Wang Teng walked around Clara and got in his force-flying car. He said to his appointed guide, Driver, lead the way. Zhuang Caishuan was furious. This fellow treats my friend this badly and he still wants me to drive for him. Hurry up, Wang Teng said. Zhuang Caishuan sighed and sat on the driver's seat. She started the engine and took one last look at her friend. Clara was still hesitating. The governor's daughter knew that further help would be inappropriate, so she drove the car and hovered toward the sky. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 16-17 Old Han's Transformation. 2. Zhuang Caishuan couldn't help but ask, why don't you want to help her? I don't know her. Why am I obligated to help? Wang Teng said. But, the young girl wanted to say that Clara was her friend, but she suddenly remembered that she herself wasn't close to the hero, either. The words got stuck in her throat. Wang Teng smiled, still silent. He then focused on his attributes board. He had picked up many bubbles during the lightning calamity. Most were of constellation lightning force and heaven-earth calamity lightning. There was nothing much to say about the constellation lightning force. As for the heaven-earth calamity lightning, he picked up 1,500 points. Heaven-earth calamity lightning, 3,810,000, first rank, this attribute had risen to 3,800 points. It was still at the first rank, but its power had indeed increased. Back when the League of Talents took place, Wang Teng had used his brick to bang many talents' heads. It was a handy weapon. Aside from being easy to use, the power of the calamity lightning contained within was helpful, too. Not many could withstand the strike of tribulation lightning, not even experts who could harness the lightning element. Wang Teng also used some calamity lightning with some of his lightning-based techniques. The effects were satisfying. He had used tribulation lightning for his lightning battle spear, which made it capable of withstanding tribulation attacks. The young hero believed this type of energy attacks would become his most lethal arsenal as the assimilated tribulation power became stronger. Soon, the two reached the earldom's manor. Zhuang Caishuan left after parking the vehicle. She needed some time to clear her thoughts. Being the pampered little princess of the Zhuangs, she had never been subject to such treatment before. The events of that day had caused her a minor mental breakdown. Wang Teng didn't pay much attention to the two ladies' reactions, forgetting all about them almost instantly. Round ball, help me contact old Han, Wang Teng said as he walked into his room. All right, Round ball replied. Wu Xingyun and Han Ping didn't know that the pill was ready, so they thought that the young earl had just returned to tell them about other matters. They hurried over to meet him. Wang Teng, the masters from Earth are on their way over. They should be here soon, said Han Ping with a smile as he walked in. I've also contacted the Grand Masters I know. Thief agreed to help, Wang Teng said. That's good. All we have to do is wait for them to come over now, Wu Xingyun said happily. Yes. Wang Teng nodded. Oh right, I forgot to tell you that planet Earth is now part of the Great Qian Empire. Our citizens can apply to have the Empire's identity account." "Really?" Wu Xingyun and the others were pleasantly surprised. "This is one of the rewards the Great Qian Empire gave me," the hero said. "Good. This is great news. Our people will have an easier time integrating into the greater universe," Hong Tianxia said. "Not only that, the people on Earth will be protected by the Empire, as we are now their citizens," Wang Ting said. "Why didn't you tell us about this earlier?" Hong Tianxia complained. "Ha ha ha, I completely forgot." Wang Ting smiled. "How can you forget such a thing?" Han Ping felt at a loss. "They gave me too many rewards. How could I remember all of them?" Wang Teng replied. Han Ping and the others didn't know what to say. "Look at what He's saying. Too many rewards. Sounds like bragging. Oh right, I almost forgot about the main topic." Wang Ting took out the 1,000 grass elixir and said, "Old Han, this is the pill I made for you. It can cure all your hidden injuries." "What?" Han Ping was shocked. "You made it already? When did you do it?" "Just now," the hero said. There was a moment of silence. Wang Ting never went by the book, so they could never predict his actions. "Try it." The young overlord gave him the jade bottle. Han Ping caught it, feeling flustered. It was the cure for his body and was worried the bottle would break, but Wang Teng didn't care and merely threw it over. The senior couldn't complain, so he felt a bit frustrated. Excited, he opened the bottle, which released a dense fragrance. "What grade is this? It smells amazing." Wu Xingyun and the others leaned over curiously. "Grandmaster, 7th level." Wang Teng replied. Wu Xingyun and the others were dumbstruck. They looked at the lad with mouths agape. "Grandmaster, 7th level? That's right. I asked the other grandmasters and they said that the 1,000 grass elixir has the best effect in curing hidden health risks and nourishing the body. That's why I chose it," said the hero with a nonchalant attitude. Everyone. The reason was quite valid. He chose it because it had the best effects. Wang Teng was probably the only one who could say such things. "Come on, this is a 7th level grandmaster pill. It must be painstaking to make it." The hero had just returned the day prior and he had already prepared the pill. The efficiency was impressive. "What is your grade now?" Hong Tianxia asked curiously. He should be at the peak of the grandmaster level, since he's able to make such a pill in one day, Yong Liangong guessed. Chapter 16-18 Old Han's Transformation. 3. I'm actually only a 6th level grandmaster. Wang Ting scratched his head in embarrassment. Hong Tianxia. The crowd was taken aback once again. Everyone stared at the hero in a daze, completely at a loss. He looked as though he was saying, "I'm barely at this level. Sorry to disappoint. If you're at the 6th level, how did you manage to make a 7th level pill?" Wu Xingyun asked. "ISNT jumping level's a normal thing for geniuses," the hero replied. "Everyone. A normal thing? Which normal alchemist can make a higher grade pill than his own base level?" A difference of levels between grandmasters made a huge difference. The likelihood of failure was high when attempting to make a pill of a higher level than their current means. None of the seniors present were alchemists, but this was common knowledge. "All right, this is nothing." Wang Ting waved his hands indifferently. Then, he urged, "Old Han, come on and try it." "All right." Han Ping felt a little troubled. The issue plaguing him most of his life was going to be resolved. It felt unreal. He was forced to stop cultivating in the past due to his ailments, to later become the guard of the Huanghai Military Academy. He would have died unnoticed if it wasn't for the sea beast's riot. Fortunately, he met Wang Teng, who saved his life and gave him hope that he could advance to the planetary stage. Now, the young overlord had even told him that his body could make a full recovery. All of this made him feel deeply emotional. He was filled with gratitude towards the lad. Still, it wasn't the right time to speak about this. He got up and entered a cultivation room while tightly grabbing the bottle with the 1,000 grass elixir. Everyone waited outside. Wu Xingyun and the others saw the elder as a warrior who, just like them, had emerged from Earth's humble cradle. They naturally hoped he could truly recover and join them to explore and conquer the vast universe. The young Earl held this senior in high regard. Who knows what Earth would have become without elders like him, and how could he attain chances to grow as the young hero did? The lad was happy he could do something to help. Everyone was patiently waiting outside. No one spoke, but their gazes were fixed on the door. Time passed slowly. It was already nighttime when the young hero went back to his manor. Han Ping remained in the cultivation room for an entire night. The next morning, Wu Xingyun and the others finally got worried since their colleague wasn't coming out. Wang Ting, did something happen to him? Hong Tianxia asked. Don't worry. There's nothing wrong with the pill I made, the hero explained. The longer he stays, there is also an indicator of how many hidden injuries he has. The medicinal effects will take some time to take effect. The former nodded. They believed in the young hero. Everything would be all right since the boy had said so. Wang Teng looked at the door and activated his real eye. He was stunned by what he saw. Boom. Just then, the cultivation room's door opened. A figure emerged. What? Everyone was flabbergasted by what they saw. The old Han who walked out was no longer the hunched elder with wrinkles all over his face. His back was ramrod straight and all the wrinkles were gone. Even his white hair had turned grey. If he was around 80 years of age, he now looked like a 50-year-old. His aura was exceptional. He looked mature, tough, and dignified. He was definitely a handsome middle-aged man. No wonder the others were dumbfounded. You're Han Ping? Hong Tianxia asked in shock. Yes, don't you recognize me? Han Ping laughed. His voice was full of vitality. Surprisingly enough, there was no hint of old age in it. F***K. Hong Tianxia couldn't help but curse when he heard the reply. Chapter 16-19 Bertha, this is how much I trust you. 1. Hong Tianxia wasn't the only one in shock. Even Wang Ting was shocked by the drastic change in old Han. Is the 1000 grass elixir this powerful? Suddenly, he regretted gifting the other 9000 grass elixirs away. He should have left some for himself in case he needed them in the future. Fortunately, the pill wasn't hard to make. He could make it again in the future. Ha ha ha, Han Ping burst out laughing when he saw their reactions. He was evidently happy. He experienced a transformation after consuming the pill. His body used to give off a sense of heaviness and decay, however, that feeling was gone. He felt completely at ease, as if having gotten rid of a heavy burden. Rebirth. To Han Ping, this was his rebirth. Hong Tianxia turned and asked the young hero, Wang Ting, do you know how amazing your pill is? I don't know. Wang Ting shrugged. I only knew it had good effects, but I didn't know it was this great. Everyone. Can you be a little more reliable? Han Ping walked towards the hero and sincerely said, Wang Teng, thank you. I would have been 6 feet under already if it wasn't for you. Old Han, you don't have to be so polite with me. Wang Teng smiled. You're right. I'm being too sentimental. All right, let's leave it at that. I'll remember your favor in my heart, Han Ping replied. The hero smiled. He didn't offer help because he wanted a favor in return, so he didn't take the senior's words to heart. Your cultivation advanced, too, Wang Teng exclaimed. I've made it to the celestial stage. The senior smiled. What? The celestial stage? Hong Tianxia and the others stared at their friend in disbelief. They wondered if they had misheard. All of my injuries were completely healed after consuming the pill. Of course this would spur my breakthrough. It's only natural. Han Ping was all smiles, clenching his fist as he felt the immense energy coursing his body. Can this pill help with breakthroughs as well? Wu Xingyun was surprised. Wang Ting shook his head and explained, not really. Old Han had the accumulation, but there were too many unhealed problems blocking his full potential. He would have advanced a long time ago if not for this problem. I see. Wu Xingyun and the others were in deep thought. I didn't think you would be the first to reach the celestial stage, Hong Tianxia lamented. He felt a little envious. After all, they had the same starting line, but his colleague had already taken that step. Not even Wu Xingyun had broken through. Ha ha ha, you can only be jealous. Han Ping smiled. Stop showing off. Yong Liangong pouted. Long Changkong couldn't help but ask, Wang Ting, do you have more pills? I have 6 more, the lad replied. He had refined 16 pills in total. He still kept 6 after giving 9 to his fellow grandmasters and 1 to old Han. 6. Can you give us 1 each? Hong Tianqi's eyes lit up. He quickly added, you can make any request. All of them witnessed Han Ping's change. The pill was too important for them. All of them had accumulated a certain number of injuries over the years. They just weren't as bad as Han Ping's. If they could consume the pill and clear all the hidden issues, their cultivation could take a huge leap. Here you go. Wang Tung smiled. He took out 4 pills and continued, I've made many pills. I wanted to check their effect before handing them to you. Hong Tianxia exchanged glances with the others but didn't move to take the pills. He said, we understand their value, so we can't take them for free. However, there's nothing we can do to help you now, so we can only repay you in the future. Why are you suddenly so polite? I'm not used to it. The hero was smiling. You can pay me back in the future if you wish. I'm not in a rush. He knew they would feel bad if he didn't agree. Wu Xingyun, Hong Tianxia, and the others heaved sighs of relief and took the pills. The young hero said, please send these 2 pills back to Earth for my grandfather. He then gave 2 extra pills to Wu Xingyun. Okay. Don't worry, I'll have someone take care of this. The senior. I have nothing else to say. I'm sure you're excited to try the effects of the pills, so I won't keep you any longer, said the hero, still smiling. Ha ha ha. Indeed, we're excited. Han Ping's change is too great, said Hong Tianxia. Then, they said their goodbyes and left Wang Ting alone. The latter contacted Lin Chuhan in the evening, knowing she would return 2 days later. Hence, he planned to meet her first before heading to the 7th Stellar Academy. He pondered some things for a while and asked Round Ball to contact Bertha and ask her to look for him. Bertha was the behind-the-scenes person he appointed as manager of his fiefdom, in cooperation with his round helper. Since his fiefdom had grown, he needed to make new arrangements. A few minutes later, a Rune Force flying car landed in the manor. Chapter 16:20 Bertha, this is how much I trust you. 2. A figure with long green hair stepped down from the flying car and quickly entered the manor's hall. Master. The beautiful young lady half knelt respectfully in front of Wang Ting. Bertha, it's been a long time. The hero smiled. Get up, there's no need for the formalities. The lady stood up. Sit, he said, pointing at the chair next to him. I wouldn't dare, she replied. Sit when I tell you to. His tone was calm. Yes. Bertha's heart jumped in surprise. Her master was stronger than before, his current presence was a bit unbearable. However, she followed his orders to a T, so she quickly sat down. Relax, I won't eat you. Wang Ting said. Her beautiful face suddenly turned red. No one knew what she was thinking. Eat me. How would he do that? It wasn't her fault. A beautiful slave like her was supposed to comply with such matters. Many people would spend lots of money to buy slaves like her so they could have a good bite. She was powerful and gorgeous, inciting people into desiring to conquer her. Wang Ting looked at her, feeling at a loss. He didn't know what she was thinking. Why is it that all the women I've met recently look at me like that? Do they think I'm a sick pervert? Wang Ting was frustrated. He cleared his throat and said, What are you thinking? Why do women like you think about such things? Bertha was dumbfounded. Master is truly shameless, playing the blame game. He changed the subject with a straight face. All right. Hurry up and get those nasty thoughts out of your head. Let's get down to business. She asked after taking a deep breath, Why were you looking for me? My territories have expanded. I see that you've done a good job managing both the Milky Way and the Yulon Galaxy. It is now time for you to take on more responsibilities. He then stood up and patted her shoulder. This came as a shock to the young lady. She already knew that Wang Ting had become an earl. The addition of more territories was something she had foreseen, given his rise in status. However, being handed the reins to manage the new territories was an unexpected move. Nobles would often choose to assign a different person for each territory as a way to safeguard their interests. Not only would it decentralize their power, the administrators would keep each other in check. Even if one of them had a problem, it would affect the other's performance. However, the young earl was actually assigning her to manage everything. Did he trust her that much? Of course, Bertha was flattered by this. She hesitated for a while before she commented, "Master, I'm afraid this isn't appropriate." She wanted to refuse. Being a mere slave, her life was in the young hero's hands. She would be doomed if anything went wrong. "You seem concerned," Wang Ting said. The response was blunt. "Yes, I'm afraid this is beyond my capabilities." "Have you forgotten about Round Ball's existence? How does it feel to have its help so you can manage 2 galaxies?" he asked. "Having Sir Round Ball guiding me is indeed helpful," Bertha replied. "Sir Round Ball?" The young hero's expression was odd. He. Round Ball's snickering could be heard in Wang Ting's mind. "How vicious of you." The little helper cleared its throat. "Cough, I'm still an intelligent life form after all. I can't be looked down upon." "All right, I can't be bothered with you." Wang Ting then looked at Bertha. "Since you have Round Ball's help, what is there to be afraid of? I will continue to have the fellow help you." The young administrator was still hesitant. "Feel free to step into the role. I will give you full rights and the freedom to do so. I won't blame you in case of honest mistakes, unless you start getting other ideas." If that were the case, Wang Ting left the sentence unfinished. She was flustered by this, so she quickly replied, "Don't worry. My life is in your hands, I wouldn't dare have any odd thoughts." "There's nothing to worry about, then." Wang Ting smiled. "All right." Bertha smiled bitterly, "Looks like you want me to manage all your territories. This represents my trust in you, Bertha." Wang Ting patted her shoulder again. She rolled her eyes. He clearly wants to wash his hands off the responsibility. And yet, he says he trusts me. Why should I believe you? But this also showed his high regard for her work. It made her happy. It was rare for a slave to achieve something as grand. She sometimes thought her life had peaked. After all, she was just a cosmos stage warrior. Not even the ordinary heaven stage warriors would have the authority to manage multiple galaxies. Wang Ting made this possible. The young slave looked at her master with mixed feelings. He was just a baron when she was bought, living in unstable conditions. However, he now had a firm foothold and became an earl. His status had undergone a drastic change, giving her a surreal feeling. "Oh right, how's Hardy doing lately?" Wang Ting asked. "He must be on Earth protecting your family." He nodded and said, "All right, carry on. I'll have Round Ball message you if there's anything." "Understood." The young administrator got up and took her leave. She sighed after walking out of the manor, fearing that her master would ask her to stay and warm his bed. After all, she couldn't refuse if he ever made that kind of request. Unless she chose death. Wang Ting stretched his back after watching her leave. Dumping all the work to his subordinate was a joyful experience. However, he realized that he was understaffed after his rise in power. The hero shook his head. Such matters can't be rushed. It would all depend on fate. Leaving the matter to rest, the young hero went back to the cultivation and resumed his meditation. He had to admit it, the more techniques he mastered, the more time was needed for cultivation, even with the support of the system. Time management was critical if he wanted to keep making progress. He sat cross-legged inside the room and began to work on the lightning domain he had obtained during the League of Talents. His clone had already turned this domain into the lightning spear domain during the elimination battle. His clone had explored the forbidden lightning zone, and the results were multiplied. The efficiency to develop this attribute was greatly reduced when practicing on planet Yumming. Fortunately, his accumulated enlightenment was great, which could save a lot of time. The strands of enlightenment flashed in his mind, and his lightning spear domain reached the 4th rank. Fluctuations surrounded his body, There were also faint arcs of energy leaping about. There was even a faint sound of thunder. Just then, an extremely sharp aura made a sudden appearance in the arc-filled domain. Sword glows were formed as the lightning scurried around, emitting a deadly and dangerous presence. Golden lightning sword domain. That was the sword domain he obtained from the attributes dropped by the third prince. Furthermore, it was a combined domain. The prince's domain was merely at the second rank. However, it had already attained the fourth rank in Wang Ting's hand. After all, his metal and lightning domains were fourth-ranked. A combined domain would naturally reach the fourth rank, too. Fortunately, he had already obtained the attributes for the golden lightning sword domain. He was familiar with the combined domain, it was just that his domain was stronger than the third prince's, which was why he needed time to assimilate and test it. Time passed slowly, and the two surrounding domains had completely fused into one. The golden and purple glows flickered and danced around non-stop, forming dangerous sword projections. Chapter 16:21 I Miss You. 1. In the cultivation room, Wang Ting gradually opened his eyes. Flashes of gold and purple flickered in each of his eyes. The golden lightning sword domain has been fused successfully. A smile appeared on his face. He used less than half a day to complete his combined domain. Such efficiency could be considered acceptable in his books. However, he wasn't over. After some pondering, he summoned an extremely unique lightning bolt in his hand, which seemed like a living being scurrying in his palm. Heaven-Earth Calamity Lightning. The young hero was planning to fuse it with his combined domain to increase its power substantially. He then focused his gaze and the silver-white bolt in his hand darted out and instantly disappeared. It then turned into countless lightning arcs that were slowly integrated with the newly developed domain. The process wasn't that simple, as the tribulation lightning was a product of nature, and was inherently much more powerful than the ordinary kind. Just like the difference between a noble and a commoner. It wasn't impossible for a noble to live a commoner's life. However, it would be challenging. The other nobles would naturally reject them. The analogy was extremely similar to the current situation. He had already tamed the tribulation energy, it was still necessary to use a slow approach to integrate it into his domain. Closing his eyes again and carefully sharpening his senses, he went about the task. He wasn't in a hurry, nor was he impatient. Slow and steady, time passed. The hero reopened his eyes when night came. The integration was finally completed. The sword projections condensed by the new lightning domain were silver and white. They were emitting extremely frightening power. Even though it was just a scaled-down version of his domain, the aura was quietly spread out, it was enough to terrify. The power has greatly increased after integrating the tribulation lightning. The young hero nodded, feeling satisfied. Having so many techniques at his disposal, the fusing and integrating was his fated path. After that, he wanted to fuse his lightning tornado with other techniques. However, time was limited, so he had to put that on hold. Wang Ting deactivated his domain and stood up to stretch his back. Feeling a pinch of hunger, he got out of the cultivation room and ordered the maids to prepare dinner. Then, he went to take a shower. Dinner was ready once he was done refreshing. The young earl went to the dining room and sat down. All kinds of delicacies were laid out on the table. There was golden-colored soup, meats and fish cooked in different styles, and 7 different vegetable varieties grown on different planets. A rich congregation of aromas wafted from the table, complementing each other, increasing the guests' appetite. A Grandmaster Force Chef was working in the manor, and he would usually prepare the dishes served. Only Wang Ting was eating at the table. It was a lonely sight. However, he was used to it. He allowed his stomach to roam free, having a good meal. It had been a long time since he could take his time to relax and eat. He was always cultivating or traveling somewhere. This would force him to settle for casual meals or skipping them altogether for a few days. After all, martial warriors could forego eating during long periods of time. Of course, the food he would cook for himself also counted as force dishes, much better than what other warriors would have. Right at that moment, Round Ball appeared on a chair next to the hero, just like a baby sitting there. It was interesting to look at. The little helper looked at the feast on the table and remarked, "You really know how to enjoy yourself. Humans must take good care of themselves." Wang Ting didn't even raise his head to reply. He then became curious. "Why did you come out?" "Zhuang Wei's is here to see you again. He's just outside the manor," Round Ball replied. "What's he doing here?" The hero was puzzled by the news. "He's probably here for his daughter's sake. Let him in." He had an inkling about the visit's purpose. "Okay, I'll let him know." Round Ball nodded. It didn't rush to leave. The little fellow was still looking at the hero eating. Some time later, the governor and his daughter Zhuang Caishuan walked in, led by the maids. Round Ball disappeared just then. "Earl Wang." Zhuang Wei's greeted him respectfully. "Have a seat." The hero pointed to the seat next to him. The governor waved a hand and said, "We're fine standing." The young earl didn't insist. He asked while eating, "What's the matter?" "I'm here to apologize for my daughter's presumptuous actions." Zhuang Wei's bowed. Surprised, the hero offered a casual reply, "There's no need for that. I didn't take it to heart." "So magnanimous of you. However, my daughter's gaffe caused you some trouble. She must offer an apology," said the governor, then sparing a glance at Zhuang Caishuan. The young girl bit her lips and approached the hero. She offered a deep bow and said with a troubled look, "My overstepping has caused you trouble. I am truly sorry. Please punish me." Wang Ting was caught between laughter and tears. He then waved a hand, "All right, the matter ends here." A hint of surprise flashed in her eyes, not knowing if the overlord was being truthful. She could only look at her father for guidance. Whenever powerful figures talked, sometimes they didn't mean what they said. It was hard to tell. If he was indeed unhappy with her, she would be in real trouble. It might even affect her family. Chapter 16:22 I Miss You. 2. Visiting Wang Ting to offer an apology was the main reason for their visit. The young hero was now an earl. Their family couldn't afford to offend him. Their rise and fall was at his mercy. Even though the latter didn't care, they couldn't pretend that nothing happened. Such were the survival rules for small figures. This was so, even if the Zhuang family was large in a certain sense. Still, this was only the case within the influence of planet Yuming. Once they stepped out of the Yulon galaxy, they were nothing. The reason why those families were able to survive thus far was closely related to their cautious and careful way of living. Zhuang Caishuan suddenly regretted helping her friend, Clara. It may be somewhat unfair to the other party, but compared to the welfare of her family, all of this was insignificant. The governor noticed that their superior had truly let the matter to rest, so he quickly said, "You are truly magnanimous, to not hold grudges against us. Little Xian, quickly, thank Earl Wang." Zhuang Caishuan immediately complied. Wang Teng wasn't affected by their praises. He replied indifferently, "You need to think carefully about these matters in the future. I am about to report to the 7 stellar academies, and I don't have time to spare right now, especially with people I have no connections with." "Yes." Zhuang Caishuan replied sincerely. She was overwhelmed with shame. "All right, you can leave now," the hero said. Zhuang Wei's didn't dare say more, quickly departing with his daughter. The young earl shook his head once they were gone. Round Ball appeared and asked, "Do you find them irritating?" "A little. I'm too lazy to deal with such trivial matters," said the former, feeling helpless. The small helper smiled and said, "You have suddenly risen to a high position and don't understand the troubles of the people below. I won't make things difficult for them as long as they are diligent and conscientious. This needs time, you need to be patient," said Round Ball. "However, your path lies elsewhere. You will only continue to rise in the future. The Zhuangs would only have the chance to contact your subordinates by then, as there would be no need for you to appear in person." Wang Ting nodded and changed the topic. "When is Lin Chuhan arriving?" "At around 10 a.m. tomorrow," said the little one. The hero nodded, then went about finishing all the delicious food on the table, letting out a satisfied belch in the end. The amount served was enough for several people, yet he actually finished it on his own. A martial warrior's appetite could be quite terrifying. Then, He went back to his cultivation room and resumed his cultivation. Zhuang Caishuan immediately contacted Clara as soon as she got home. The virtual universe, in a luxurious reception room wearing a sexy dress, Clara was seated on a sofa, anxiously waiting. The door opened abruptly and her friend walked in. The temptress hurriedly got up to welcome her. "Little Xian, how was it?" "I'd rather not talk about it." "Sister Clara, you really made things difficult for me this time," Zhuang Caishuan complained. "My father took me to see him and apologize. I didn't know that such a small thing would have such a big impact." "Heh." The host was astounded. "How did it become like this?" "We underestimated the weight of Wang Ting's Earl title. My dad is fearful of ever offending him," the governor's daughter said dejectedly. She plonked on the sofa and laid down like a deflated balloon. Her friend's expression kept changing. In the end, she sighed and said, "The weight of an earl from the empire is indeed not something that your Zhuang family can afford to offend. I didn't think it through and made a mistake. Little Xian, I'm really sorry. I didn't want things to turn out this way." "Never mind." Zhuang Caishuan couldn't bear to see the other so distraught. She waved a hand and said, "Let's forget the matter. Earl Wang didn't take it to heart. My dad was just too worried." Little Xian Tilda Clara sat down beside the latter and held her hand with a grateful look. "Sister Clara, you made me lose face this time. How are you planning to compensate me?" said the former, suddenly flashing a mischievous smile. "How do you want me to compensate you?" said the other, responding with a seductively smile of her own, while placing her hand on Zhuang Caishuan's chin. The latter blushed, and the atmosphere became a little ambiguous. Silence is golden. Let's skip this part. After fooling around in the reception room for a while, the pair finally collapsed on the sofa, panting softly, looking like two fish caught on the shore. They had played too vigorously. "Sister Clara, what about your pill?" Zhuang Caishuan's face was pink, revealing a hint of satisfaction. "I'll think of a way out," Clara replied after some contemplation. There was a shimmer in her eyes. "If all else fails, I can use the connections of my family to find someone who can refine a Grandmaster 6-level pill for you," said the other. "It's all right, I will deal with this myself. I won't trouble you anymore." Clara shook her head. Then, she stood up and tidied her clothes. "Little Xian, I'll be taking my leave now. We'll meet again soon." Zhuang Caishuan laid weakly on the sofa and waved her hand gently. "All right, Sister Clara. See you soon." Chapter 16:23 I Miss You. 3. Remember to miss me. Clara suddenly leaned down and grabbed Zhuang Caishuan's chest. "Ah!" Zhuang Caishuan screamed in shock and jumped up from the sofa. She wanted to grab back, only to realize her friend was already gone. She snorted and said, "Why did you run so quickly? I'll definitely catch you next time." The next morning, at 10 a.m., an ordinary-looking celestial-ranked spacecraft flew into planet Yuming. The latter was a prosperous place. Many ships flew in and out every day. Most were of planetary and celestial levels. The arrival of this spacecraft didn't attract much attention because of this. Only a small group of people who recognized the Battle Hearth mercenary team's logo took a second glance at it. However, they quickly looked away. It was just a celestial-level spacecraft. The people inside were very likely normal mercenaries. A few people alighted from the vessel after reaching the docking port. Men and women, all looking young and in high spirits, they chatted and laughed as they walked. "Chuhan, let's celebrate tonight since we've just finished our mission," said a tall and muscular brown-haired youth to a beautiful young lady. "That's right, Chuhan. The gains from this mission were good, it's worth celebrating. You must come and join us," one of the women of the group added with a smile. "Chuhan, Brother Isa won't feel like eating if you don't come," the people beside her teased. "Shut up. How dare you joke with me," said the brown-haired fellow with a smile. However, he still looked at Lin Chuhan with anticipation. The latter frowned. She didn't like others trying to pair them up, even if they were just joking around. Many amongst the group started urging the woman to join them. Her appearance and aura stood out the most, far surpassing the rest of the women. Not many of the men in the team could resist her charm. Even the ones unaffected hoped that she could go with them. The atmosphere would definitely be better having such beauty around. I'm sorry, I have some personal matters to attend to. I can't celebrate with you this time. She shook her head. Everyone was surprised. None of them expected she would turn them down. Chuhan, it's fine. We can push back our gathering if you have something to do, Isa said. Lin Chuhan felt disgusted. The guy was overly persistent. Despite her repeated rejections, cold treatment, and her refusal to speak to him. He didn't care. He kept pestering her. They were in the same team, so she couldn't simply kick him away. Just when she was thinking about how to reject him, a familiar voice came from behind. Chuhan. A look of pleasant surprise appeared on her cold and pretty face. Isa was dumbfounded. He didn't understand how her expression could change so quickly. The young woman ignored the fellow's reaction and quickly turned around. A black-haired youth was walking towards them from a distance. That was the person she was most familiar with. When the others saw the youth, their eyes were as wide as saucers due to disbelief. Is this the person we know? Are we seeing things? Isa was overwhelmed with shock, realizing that his last glimmer of hope was shattered as he recalled all of Lin Chuhan's reactions during the League of Talents. It's been a long time. Aren't you going to hug me? Wang Ting stood in front of Lin Chuhan and spread his arms. The young woman fell into his arms and hugged him tightly. I missed you, said a soft voice. Wang Ting was stunned. He hugged her back, just as tightly. Crack. Isa turned pale. He could almost hear his heart breaking into pieces. Chapter 16:24 A Small Lesson. 1. Wang Ting stood in front of the Battle Hearth mercenary team and asked, Are all of you Chuhan's teammates? He was no longer hugging the beauty. Lin Chuhan stood behind him with her head slightly lowered. There was a red tint on her face, she seemed a bit shy at the moment. That was her first time hugging someone in front of a crowd. The mercenary group was stunned, they had just seen something unbelievable. Is that the cold and distant Lin Chuhan we know? She looked extremely bashful and gentle. However, they quickly understood. The youth standing before them wasn't a normal person. They had already made the connection. It was none other than Wang Teng, the warrior who defeated numerous candidates in the League of Talents and claimed the top position. Everyone was shocked due to the legendary figure making a sudden appearance. The experience was truly surreal. Only a man like him could bring out the gentle side in Lin Chuhan. Thank you for taking care of my fiancé, said Wang Teng right after. Fiancé? Everyone was flabbergasted. Isa's face looked as white as paper. There was fear in his eyes. A celestial martial warrior called Xue Fei regained his composure and quickly replied, You're too polite. We are a team, it's only right to help each other. Besides, Lin Chuhan plays a significant role in our team. She was really helpful during our mission. As expected of a team leader, he spoke eloquently, neither denying the team's role nor neglecting to mention Lin Chuhan's strong points. This would make the hero feel some gratitude towards them, even if it was just a favorable impression, that would be enough. At the same time, offending Lin Chuhan never crossed his mind. If he said she was of no help, wouldn't it be like denying her value? Based on the young woman's relationship with Wang Teng, offending her wouldn't do them any good. Furthermore, their team could take this opportunity to climb higher, if they could keep Lin Chuhan on their side. Even if they were just unimportant figures, it was good enough. A little benefit offered by someone like the young Earl was enough to produce immeasurable benefits for them. This was the sorrow of an ordinary martial warrior. Looks like this experience was really beneficial for you. Wang Teng glanced at Lin Chuhan and smiled. Lin Chuhan raised her chin and said proudly, Of course, I'm already at the 6th level of the planetary stage. The 6th level of the planetary stage? Not bad. He was surprised. He didn't have the time to use his real eye to check his fiancée's cultivation just then. When he finally did, he realized that her cultivation had indeed risen greatly, compared to the past. Lin Chuhan was delighted by Wang Ting's praises. However, she remained calm and composed on the surface. Such an attitude made her look a bit cute in the hero's eyes. Every lady was cute and arrogant in their own way. Wang Ting smiled, opting not to expose her. He then said to Xue Fei and the rest, "If there's nothing else, we'll be taking our leave." All right. The young mercenaries nodded fervently, not even daring to mention the gathering again. They knew that Lin Chuhan had rejected them so she could spend more time with the young hero. It would be foolish to impose and become the proverbial third wheel at this point. "I will send everyone a small gift later. Take it as my way of thanking you," Wang Ting said. "It's here." Xue Fei and the others were elated. However, they went through the motions of refusing at first. "You don't have to do this. Lin Chuhan is our teammate, it is our duty to help each other. And I appreciate this. Just consider it as a small gesture." The young earl smiled. Before they could try to reject a second time, he waved a hand and took Lin Chuhan to the flying rune car parked in the distance. Xue Fei, Isa, and the others watched as they boarded the vehicle and disappeared in the sky. Then, they looked away to exchange glances, overwhelmed by disbelief. All of them sighed. Xue Fei wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said with lingering fear, "Earl Wang's aura is really pressurizing. I couldn't breathe properly." "Yes, that was a scary aura. He doesn't feel like a celestial warrior," Du Wa said. "He's an earl of the empire who's not even afraid to go head-to-head against the crown prince. The most shocking of all, the empire even rewarded him for it. He's not like us." Xue Fei shook his head. A young planetary stage warrior said, "An earl. I don't even dare to think about this." Another planetary warrior chimed in, "I didn't expect Lin Chuhan to have this connection. Still, I knew she was extraordinary." Xue Fei said angrily, "Come on, we just thought she was a direct descendant of one of Planet Yumming's elite families. Who could have guessed she had this identity? It's scary. Earl Wang is the overlord of the entire Yulon galaxy. He's much more powerful than the elite families." The female mercenaries gathered and discussed happily. "I wonder what small gifts he'll prepare for us. I'm getting excited." Just then, Xue Fei noticed the silent Isa. He had yet to speak until that point. He could only look at the latter with pity. Poor fellow, why did he have to fall for someone who's not even in the same world as him, let alone the fact she's already engaged to someone else? Chapter 16:25 A small lesson. 2. They knew that Isa had evil intentions, it wasn't just pure love. The outcome was a lesson for him. "Let's go. Don't think too much. Lin Chuhan isn't someone you can lay your hands on," said Xue Fei, patting his shoulder. However, fart. Isa vomited a mouthful of blood and stumbled. Everyone was appalled. Du Wa quickly grabbed him and asked, "What's the matter?" "I'm fine." Isa waved a feeble hand and straightened his body with difficulty. "I'll go back first." He stumbled his way out before anyone could reply. Some people noticed his eyes, filled with emotions. There was fear and regret. He seemed to have encountered something extremely terrifying. "Did that person do it?" someone whispered. Du Wa swallowed saliva and said fearfully, "I think so." "Who else could it be?" "Looks like the guy isn't completely oblivious to our situation," said Xue Fei with a bitter smile. "No wonder. Someone with his status would never let Lin Chuhan venture out alone without any protection. Isa brought this upon himself. He's always playing dirty tricks and now has finally met someone he shouldn't provoke. Even if he didn't do anything significant, it's enough to make him fall into an abyss." Du Wa shook his head. "Still, Earl Wang's strength is truly terrifying. We didn't even notice when he acted. Is this the might of the first place holder in the League of Talents? That was scary. I'm afraid he could kill us before we even had time to react," said the others in horror. "Let's go." "We can't do anything," Xue Fei said. "Since he didn't kill Isa in the end, he probably just wanted to give him a lesson. I don't think he'll pursue the matter again." "Yes." Du Wa nodded and reprimanded the planetary stage warriors behind him. "See that? It's better to focus on cultivating properly, instead of coming up with nasty ideas. You may run into someone we can't handle otherwise." "Yes." The group replied in unison. Wang Ting discarded the small episode with the Battle Hearth mercenary team from his mind. As for Isa, he just gave him a small lesson. Right from the start, he noticed the fellow's strange eyes when looking at Lin Chuhan. He too noticed how the rest were teasing the latter moments before. Why is he having thoughts about my lady? Is he tired of living? He didn't act overtly because she was present. He controlled himself. When did you come back? Lin Chuhan asked. About 3 days ago, Wang Ting smiled. How long are you planning to stay? Do you want me to stay a few more days? Said the hero with a smile. I want you to stay for a year, can you? Lin Chuhan rolled her eyes. Really? Looks like you really missed me and don't want me to leave, he teased. Lin Chuhan turned her head and flicked her hair as she replied stubbornly, Me? No way. In that case, I'll leave tomorrow. He laughed again. You're only staying for 1 day? She was shocked. Ha ha ha, the young earl burst out laughing. He nudged her. You can't bear to part with me. You. She snorted, realizing he was just playing around. All right. The Stellar Academies gave me 1 month, I can stay for a few more days, Wang Ting quickly replied. Lin Chuhan didn't say anything but her eyes were glowing. The hero noticed her little burst of excitement but he didn't expose her. He just smiled. Let's have something good to eat, Wang Ting said. I want you to cook for me, she replied. Your standards are quite high. He smiled and looked at her. Why? You can't satisfy this request. Lin Chuhan flashed him with puppy eyes. I can't even eat properly while I'm on missions. All right, I get it, he quickly interjected. I agree. Great, we're settled then. She was delighted. They reached the manor soon after. The young girl was just back from a trip, so she was a bit unkempt. Some freshening up was in order. Wang Ting stood in the main hall and spoke to a certain empty spot next to him. And Lan, it's been a while. The air became distorted and a figure in black cloak gradually manifested. He removed his cape, revealing the mechanical face underneath. You're getting stronger. I didn't expect you to notice me. And Lan stared at Wang Ting in surprise. This is nothing. Have you forgotten about my space talent? The latter asked. That's true. The other fellow rubbed his head. Thank you for your efforts during this period, said the hero, his gratitude evident. It's nothing. I didn't do anything. I just went out to gain more experience, and Lan replied. Those mercenaries are quite cautious. They would rarely be in any danger, unless there was an accident. Being cautious is good. Lin Chuhan has matured greatly. Wang Ting nodded. Indeed. She has improved greatly, and is now a competent mercenary. She'll be able to explore the universe on her own when she gets stronger, the other said. I'm just afraid of accidents. The hero shook his head. Oh right, I made some gains when I followed them to a planet, said the covert expert all of a sudden. What was it? Wang Ting was surprised. An ore mine. The former smiled. It has materials I need to advance to the universe stage. Really? The young earl was astounded. Those materials had to be rare and extraordinary if they could help the guy advance. He never expected An Lan to gain such valuable resources by following his fiancée. Of course, An Lan said. Wang Ting couldn't help but exclaim, Gosh, did you step on dog shit? Don't you know how to speak properly? The expert's face turned black. Ha ha ha. In any case, congratulations. Wang Ting laughed. When can you make your advance to the universe stage? Not so soon. I will need tens of thousands of different materials, some of them are special and hard to find. I was lucky this time. The mecha race's advancements were special. Besides enlightenment and force, they needed to absorb various special ores and metals. This was just like a human's body had to be strengthened, along with exposure to enlightenment and force, or great problems could arise. Tell me the materials you need. I'll help you look for them, the hero said. Haha, I was waiting for you to say that. And Lan chuckled. He didn't reject the offer. Anyway, he followed the young earl because he hoped to gain more access to cultivation resources so he could grow stronger. The mecha race's advancement required many rare materials and he was poor. Following Wang Ting was the best choice. The expert transmitted a list of the materials required. Wang Ting glanced through the names and was surprised. The rarity of those things exceeded his expectations. He nodded and stored the list. All right, I'll get them for you if I see them. At the same time, he reminded Round Ball to take note and remind him if they ever came across any of the materials. I'll get out of your way then. Your fiancé is out. And Lan smiled and disappeared on the spot. Approaching footsteps could be heard. Lin Chuhan was once again before Wang Ting, looking fresh and rejuvenated. She was clad in a long white dress that enhanced her graceful figure. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 1626 Mobang Chamber of Commerce. The Luck Tear. 1. Who are you talking to? Lin Chuhan asked curiously. She didn't see anyone when she entered the hall. One of my friends. He just left, Wang Teng replied with a smile. Your friend came to find you? Was it some important matter? Do you need to see to it first? She sensibly asked. Nothing is as important as you, the hero replied. Lin Chuhan gave him a strange look. Why are you looking at me like that? He felt puzzled. Since when are you so sweet? Lin Chuhan was puzzled. Then, she shouted angrily, did you meet many ladies outside? Back when she was watching the League of Talents, she thought that no woman would like his man, given his blunt and insensitive ways. But now, she felt that something was wrong. This guy's words were suddenly coated with honey. If she didn't induce him into adding that honey layer, other ladies must have done it. You're thinking too much. Wang Ting's heart skipped a beat. However, he remained calm on the surface and explained, I'm the most faithful person you'll ever know. I wouldn't give other ladies a single chance. Lin Chuhan leaned over and looked into his eyes. She wanted to see if he was lying. The hero looked back without blinking, his gaze was filled with sincerity. Suddenly, he leaned forward and kissed her. When a woman is suspicious, don't try to convince her. Kiss her. Lin Chuhan felt shocked by the sudden kiss. She pushed a few times before her body went limp. They only parted after a few minutes passed. Wang Ting smiled at Lin Chuhan in silence. She was panting a bit, her pretty face slightly flushed. His gaze made her feel shy, she couldn't help but roll her eyes. Let's go out shopping. I still haven't explored Planet Yumming. The hero stood up. All right. Lin Chuhan tidied her slightly messy clothes and grabbed Wang Ting's arm with a natural motion. The pair walked out and started exploring the city, buying all sorts of clothes, accessories, and cosmetics. Wang Ting decided to let her buy all she wanted to compensate her. He was lucky to have a space ring, else he would have had a difficult time carrying all those things, even if he executed his 8 arms devil physique. Never underestimate the shopping abilities of a lady. Hey, that's the Mobang Chamber of Commerce. Lin Chuhan suddenly stopped in her tracks. From the Mobang family? It was the first time for the young earl to hear of that family. He followed the young woman's gaze and looked over. They had just exited a shopping mall and were at the moment standing on a bustling commercial street. Lin Chuhan was looking to her left, where there was a peculiar-looking building. It had a massive oval-shaped symbol with 2 characters written in an ancient language. The building itself was extremely luxurious, with a high-class and sophisticated exterior that immediately conveyed a sense of extravagance. One glance was enough to tell it was an upscale place. Are the Mobangs famous? Wang Ting asked. I'm not entirely sure, but I've heard that it's part of a large conglomerate operating across various cosmic nations. They are very powerful and their forte is having products from other cosmic nations. Many people are attracted to them, Lin Chuhan replied with a smile. Let's go and take a look. Wang Ting took her to the strange building. He wanted to see what was so unique about the place. Wang Teng, the Mobang family is behind the 1,000 treasure chamber. You can notice their presence in various high-tier civilizations across the universe, said Roundball inside Wang Ting's mind. The 1,000 treasure chamber? No wonder I found the style of this building a little familiar. The hero felt enlightened. The Thousand Treasure Chamber was the mall he had visited when he first entered the virtual universe. Back then he had paid them a visit to broaden his horizons. He was only able to look around since he couldn't afford anything. Now, he could return with confidence after the change in his status. Given his current wealth, he could buy most of the items offered. Having money grants confidence. He couldn't help feeling a bit emotional as he looked back on the past. Once he proudly entered with Lin Chuhan, he noticed the place was just like any other Thousand Treasure Chamber. There were all sorts of strange and rare items displayed inside. His prior visit to the sister store was in the virtual universe. Now he was visiting one of the stores in the real world for the first time. Lin Chuhan wasn't interested in armor or weapons. Instead, her gaze landed on the exquisite and beautiful accessories. The salespeople's eyes brightened upon seeing them approaching. One look was enough for them to tell that the pair had substantial purchasing power. Their clothes were expensive and their auras were exceptional. Such people would normally have powerful backgrounds. The salespeople exchanged glances and noticed the competitiveness in their eyes. They walked forward together, but only one of them could be the fastest. Among the representatives was a tall and slender woman with elaborate makeup on her face. She exuded a great deal of confidence, even giving a provocative glance to the others. "Hello, how may I help you?" The latter addressed the two customers, feeling astonished. A few words entered her mind. Chapter 1627 Mobang Chamber of Commerce. The Luck Tear. 2. What a dashing couple. They are the perfect match, thought the salespeople. Lin Chuhan waved a hand. "It's all right. We're just looking around. We'll call you if needed." The female attendant's expression froze. "However," she said, "understood. Please call me if you need any help." She would have tried harder to make a sale if they were ordinary customers. However, she didn't have the guts to bother the couple for some reason. The feeling was especially strong when looking at the black-haired young man. He gave off a different kind of aura. This kind of pressure was something she had only experienced when being in the presence of formidable figures. Upon further thought, the fellow looked a bit familiar. The female salesperson stepped back, keeping a prudent distance from them, not too close, nor too distant. This would prevent her from seeming intrusive and affecting the customer's shopping experience. She wouldn't allow others to take advantage of her absence, either. It was an optimum approach. Wang Teng was impressed. The representative from the Thousand Treasure Chamber was truly extraordinary. Her ability to read her customers' expressions was amazing, all to avoid discomfort. Lin Chuhan was happily looking at the accessories. She would ask the hero for his point of view on occasion. The latter was patiently giving advice. However, he thought the items available weren't that good. They were too cheap, and did not match his fiancée's aura. He glanced around, wanting to find something better. Just then, he saw a familiar figure rushing over. Earl Wang. The person bowed at him, showing off her glamorous figure. Wang Ting squinted and asked in surprise, "Clara, why are you here?" "I'm the manager of the Thousand Treasure Chamber on planet Yumming." Fearing she would be misunderstood, she quickly added, "We are familiar with all the important figures on the planet, and our subordinates will quickly contact us in case any of them comes to the store." "Earl Wang, you are our VIP. That's why I came to greet you. You're from the Mobang family?" The hero was stunned. "Yes, my name is Clara Mobang," she replied. "Nice to see you. I didn't know you were one of the Mobangs." He nodded. He couldn't underestimate her, given her identity. Of course, the change in attitude wasn't complete. This piece of news wasn't really important to him. They merely had no conflict of interests. Clara heaved a sigh of relief. She finally found a way to interact with Earl Wang. Their previous interaction was on the basis of being complete strangers. His aloofness was only natural, as they had no relationship to speak of. "Wang Ting, who is this?" Lin Chuhan noticed their interaction and walked over. Based on what she saw, a beautiful woman suddenly started talking to her man, and they seemed to be quite familiar with each other. This put her on guard. "Bastard, didn't you say you didn't meet with any other ladies? We came out to shop and you've already met one. Who knows if there are others?" The hero said after an awkward cough, "Let me introduce her. This is a member of the Mobang family, and manager of the 1,000 Treasure Chamber." He had noticed how the former's gaze turned dangerous. Then he said to Clara, "This is my fiancé, Lin Chuhan." His survival instinct was strong. The beautiful manager was stunned, not expecting the young earl to have a fiancé. Furthermore, the latter was a rare beauty. Lin Chuhan's suspicions dissipated somewhat after her identity was revealed. She extended a hand to Clara. "Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." The manager smiled. Being a woman herself, she could sense the other's animosity. The feeling wasn't rare. She was confident in her appearance, figure, and aura. Wang Teng's fiancée was indeed a rare beauty, but they were evenly matched at most. In terms of sexiness, she was the clear winner. The other woman's hostile attitude was understandable. It was also normal for a talent like Earl Wang to attract outstanding ladies. Their hands parted. The young hero felt the weird atmosphere between them. "This feels a little strange. Clara, do you have better accessories elsewhere?" Wang Teng asked. "Yes. Please follow me." Clara raised her hand and led the way. "All the good items are on the 3rd floor. Considering your identities, you can simply go up next time." Once they walked away, the female salespeople sighed in relief and started discussing with the others. So, that was Earl Wang. No wonder he looked familiar. A pity we can't interact with people like him. Didn't 048 interact with them? "What do you think?" someone asked the lady who spoke to Lin Chuhan. "They seemed to be gloating." At least I got to speak to them," 048 snorted and walked away arrogantly. On the other side, Wang Teng and Lin Chuhan reached the 3rd floor, following Clara's lead. That was the topmost floor of the 1,000 Treasure Chamber. Chapter 1628 Mobang Chamber of Commerce. The Luck Tear. 3. Clara smiled and explained, "Our 1,000 Treasure Chamber is split into 3 tiers, one in each level. The items on the 3rd level are more suitable for your status." The group of 3 walked towards the accessories section. The young girl introduced the items while chatting with Lin Chuhan. The strange atmosphere between them gradually faded away. The mood was exceptionally congenial afterwards. Wang Teng couldn't find a way to join in the conversation. Not bad. The lady was building good rapport with his fiancée, right in front of him. He knew that the young manager had yet to give up on asking him to make a pill. She was trying to convince him using his wife. "Do you have any special treasures here? Bring them out," said the hero as he inserted himself between the pair. They had become like sisters in no time. "Yes, we do. We have an eternal crystal that matches Chuhan's aura. However, it's a little expensive," Clara said. She walked to the innermost counter, opened it, and took out a dazzling crystal. "Eternal crystal?" Lin Chuhan's expression turned strange. "What is it? Don't you like it?" The young manager thought that her customer was worried about the price, but she didn't reveal it, nor show any haughty reactions. She was very familiar with the crystal's price. It wasn't something ordinary people could afford, so she just asked if it wasn't to the young girl's liking. "That's not it. I already have an eternal crystal of a larger size," Lin Chuhan said. She looked at the young earl sweetly. Wang Teng had prepared a ring with an eternal crystal when they got engaged. It made many women envious and fulfilled her dreams of romance. She didn't need such an expensive ring, but which lady could reject it? The only regret was that the jewel was too eye-catching, so she couldn't wear it all the time. Clara was stunned. She saw the other woman's gaze and instantly understood. Wang Teng had gifted the girl an eternal crystal. Did she really say that her crystal was bigger than this one? Clara was astounded. Mind you, the price of the eternal crystal she had at hand was equivalent to the price of half a livable planet. If the one she had was bigger, how much would it cost? Many thoughts went through her mind, and suddenly felt a little envious. No lady could withstand the eternal crystal. She wasn't an exception. She had been eyeing that crystal for a long time, but she couldn't afford it. Even so, she would take a look at it whenever she visited the store. Based on her current salary, She would need to work 300 years to buy it. It made her feel hopeless just thinking about it. And yet, the Earl's fiancée had a bigger crystal without having to do anything. Comparisons were infuriating. "Do you have other treasures available?" Wang Ting asked calmly. Clara felt even more jealous when she perceived the nonchalant tone. "Damn these rich people," she complained in her heart while still wearing a smile on her face. "We do. You came at the right time, we just received a rare gemstone yesterday." "Really? What is it?" the hero asked. "It's not on display. Give me a moment, I'll bring it over." The young manager placed the eternal crystal back in the display cabinet. Then, she went to a corner, opened a door, and went inside. "Wang Ting, everything is so expensive here. Let's just look around," Lin Chuhan said while Clara wasn't around. "Don't worry, I have money. You can spend it." The hero patted his chest. "Even if we have money, we shouldn't spend it like this. Just think of the eternal crystal she showed us earlier, it's so expensive. I couldn't refuse last time because you gave me the ring during our engagement banquet. This time I won't let you buy me something that expensive," said the young girl. "Are you taking care of my money even before we're officially married?" Wang Ting smiled. "Who's taking care of your money?" She rolled her eyes. While they spoke, Clara returned with an exquisite purple box in her hand. The young hero was surprised. The box itself was made of a precious ore and engraved with intricate runes. Its value alone could buy many things displayed on the first floor. So, how valuable is the item inside the box? He suddenly got a little curious. Clara walked over with a mysterious smile. She placed the box on the coffee table and invited them to take a seat. "You need to have a good look at this. I was planning to send it to planet Great Chien since I don't think anyone on planet Yuming can afford it." "Don't keep us in suspense, open it," Wang Ting said. Even Lin Chuhan was curious. She looked at the purple box eagerly. The manager smiled, then carefully unlocked the box and opened the lid. Something purple and sparkling appeared before them. "What is this?" The young hero was shocked. He almost jumped out of his seat. The box contained a teardrop-shaped gemstone of a translucent purple color. It exuded a peculiar purple radiance. Chapter 1629 Mobang Chamber of Commerce. The Luck Tear. 4. There was another thing. A few attribute bubbles were dropped when the gemstone appeared. Luck *1 luck *1 Wang Ting was quick to pick them up. He was flabbergasted. Luck attributes. They were luck attributes. After so long, he finally grabbed a hold of this attribute again. This time, it was produced by a gemstone. This felt a bit miraculous. At the same time, the hero confirmed a guess. The gemstone was the luck tear. Round Ball's surprised voice suddenly echoed in the young earl's mind. If there weren't outsiders present, it would have probably popped out and pounced on the gemstone. "What is this?" Lin Chuhan looked at Wang Ting. She noticed that he seemed to be very interested in that gemstone. "I think Earl Wang recognized it." Clara stared at the hero, feeling surprised. They had mobilized all their appraisers the day before upon the stone's arrival. Even specially invited experts from headquarters went so they could assess what it was. However, the young hero only took a glance and recognized it right then. It was incredible. "This is the luck tear." Wang Ting took a deep breath and replied to Lin Chuhan. "This is a gemstone that can give people luck." "The luck tear. It can bring people luck," the latter repeated his words. She stared at the gemstone in amazement. The idea that a gemstone could bring luck to a person seemed quite incredible to her. Earl Wang is correct. The luck tear can bring good fortune, Clara explained. According to the records, this gemstone is extremely rare and no one knows how it was formed, or where it came from. It's all a mystery. But, some lucky people were attracted to the stone and found it. Those who get this gemstone will become luckier. It may sound a bit mystical, but it is true. There have been many people who have obtained the luck tear before. Whenever they encountered life-threatening situations, they managed to overcome them with ease until the stone shattered, their luck returning to normal, Clara explained. It must be precious. Only amazement was left in Lin Chuhan's eyes. I think this gem was simply meant for the two of you. The luck tear will attract those fortunate enough. It's not just a coincidence, otherwise, you wouldn't have come knocking at my door today, right after I received the stone yesterday, said the manager. I don't think him that lucky, Lin Chuhan said. Clara only flashed a smile. You met a talent like Wang Ting who's able to enter the star rankings. Isn't this another form of luck? How much is it? Wang Ting said. We haven't decided on the price, she replied awkwardly, not expecting the Earl to be so decisive. She wasn't lying when she said that the stone had just arrived the day prior. That was why they hadn't set the amount. The young man believed her. You can ask someone who can make decisions in your family to discuss with me. All right. Clara nodded. She opened her contact list right in front of the Earl and contacted the higher-ups in her family. Since Wang Ting was determined to get the luck tear, she stopped trying to persuade him. The gemstone was indeed worth the money it could grant luck to the wearer. Such treasures were hard to come by. After some time, a beam of light appeared out of Clara's wristwatch, which formed a hologram in the air. An agitated elder appeared and asked, Clara, why did you contact me again? Is there something wrong with the luck tear? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 16:30 Trade with the Mobang Family. 1. Third Elder, there's nothing wrong with the luck tear. I contacted you because someone wants to buy it. Clara bowed at the Elder's hologram projection. The Elder exclaimed in surprise, someone wants to buy the luck tear. Yes, Earl Wang is interested. The manager adjusted the screen so that the third Elder could see Wang Ting. Earl Wang. The senior was surprised. The video feed confirmed the familiar image in his mind. The young overlord got up and bowed. Third Elder, nice to meet you. He carefully sized up the Elder. The latter was standing on a desolate land, with an endless grey sky behind him. It was unclear where he was. It was a tall and lean fellow, with long grey hair cascading down his back, which floated in the wind. His gaze was deep and sharp. There was a faint, yet powerful aura floating around him, seemingly capable of permeating through the projection. An eternal stage warrior. That was an eternal stage martial warrior. Earl Wang, I've heard many things about you. The third Elder nodded. The two exchanged some pleasantries before Clara said, Third Elder, Earl Wang is interested in buying the luck tear. He's hoping you would set a price for it. It looks like Earl Wang will soon become the stone's owner. There's no such coincidences in the world. The senior smiled. Third Elder, you're too polite. The luck tear is extremely rare and precious. It would be awkward if I can't afford it, said the young hero with a smile of his own. Ha, Earl Wang surely likes to jest. The expert laughed. Then, he contemplated for a bit and said, I can sell you this luck tear for 3 trillion. 3 trillion. Wang Ting frowned. The price wasn't forbidding for him, on the contrary, it was too cheap. Such a stone was definitely worth more than that. The price for a luck tear had always exceeded 10 quadrillion UC in past exchanges. Furthermore, having the money was not a guarantee to get one due to its scarcity. Those who owned them would often demand a trade goods for goods, or have other special requirements. All in all, anyone who could afford the luck tear was definitely someone extraordinary. There was more to gain from them than just UC. It looks like he has other requests, Roundball said. Third Elder, you must have another request, said the hero indifferently. Earl Wang is indeed smart. At first, we were planning on offering the stone to eternal stage customers. However, if Earl Wang wants it, we can oblige. We just hope you can promise to return 3 favors to the Mobang family, said the third Elder. 3 favors. Wang Ting was in a dilemma. The hardest thing to return was favors. Furthermore, they would be favors for the powerful Mobang family. Based on their original plans, they wanted to sell the stone to a mighty powerhouse and gain favors from the latter. Since he appeared, he would be the one granting those favors. The other party did hold him in high esteem. Third Elder, do you think my favors are comparable to those of an eternal stage warrior? The young hero asked with a smile. It might not be the case at the moment, but it will be so in the future. They might even be worth more than that, said the senior. He was gambling, betting on the hero surpassing the eternal stage in the future. This expert wasn't the only one who had high hopes for the hero to rise. Many other factions valued him greatly, feeling that he would be even stronger. The talents who entered the star rankings either died or surpassed the eternal stage. Even if they didn't, they would be formidable eternal stage characters. Normal experts of the same level couldn't be compared to them. Wang Ting pondered for some time, but didn't agree. 3 favors is too much. Now was the time for the elder to be stunned. I asked for 3 favors because of his potential, but he said it's too much. Isn't he a little too confident? The third elder frowned. He felt that the young fellow wasn't being appreciative of his kindness. If it were someone else, he would have taken offense and gotten angry. The Mobangs didn't lack favors from eternal stage warriors. If the young earl wanted to wait and see, they would rather not make a deal with him. They did hold the young man in high regard, but that didn't mean they had to befriend him. They had formed many ties with other talents. Third elder, calm down. Wang Ting smiled. How much do you know about me? Oh, is there something we don't know about Earl Wang? The senior asked. The young hero didn't keep the other in suspense. I'm a triple field grandmaster. Did you know this? A triple field grandmaster. The third elder was shocked. Even Clara widened her eyes in shock. Is this true? The expert asked. This is my identification from the Secondary Career Alliance. The hero opened the Alliance's internal website and showed them his credentials. Gasp! The sound came from beside him. Clara stared at him, truly bewildered. She didn't understand how someone could be so monstrous. At first she thought that the hero was impressive by merely being a Grandmaster alchemist. And yet, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.